a little bit different, you know, because we're doing, the live stream is just one laptop pointing towards our committee. So it is kind of imperative that we all speak up. Alrighty.
Hey Tosh, you guys are now live streaming. Give it about 30 seconds and it'll kick over to YouTube.
Perfect. Thanks, Jody. So Jody, just so you guys know, Jody will be on and in the background just to assist on the technical side of things. She's the director of ops here. So. Okay, I think it's all right for us to go ahead and get started, you guys. So welcome to the 2021 draft budget review meeting for the Finance Committee. Lovely to hear myself. So my thought is just to kind of start at the top, where income, and just kind of go line by line and move forward, you know, as we can. So starting under income, we have association assessments at $4,072,980 for the 2021 year. That did go down just a tad bit from last year because when the budget was put out last year, it was put out with the brownstones at Providence build out in mind, as they were supposed to build out last year, but that got postponed and pushed back. So, so what I did for this year was not include brownstones all at once. We did it over the course of several months. And so by, I believe it's September of 2021, we will have brownstones and Providence should be built out. And so when you see that difference, that's all that is 30 units.
What is, did they give a projected date at all, or are they still kind of just in the air about that?
So, so they did break ground and they are actively constructing over there. They don't have the, frames up yet.
Yeah.
No, but they should be putting down the plat neck pretty soon, which means that we should start receiving.
Okay. Because don't we start receiving
builder
as soon as they break ground, or
it's
one of
once
those
they've
types
mapped,
of-
I believe,
Okay.
is what it is. So we've been checking for
Okay.
that. But anything on that, you guys?
Just real quick question though, but isn't an increase of the fee that will pump us up with the amount of residents? Instead of, even though we don't count brownstone, I think it's a very few.
It's 30.
30 homes there. But with the increase of that's the assessment, right?
Right. Well, yeah, because the assessments were increased for 2020, so they haven't changed from 2020 to 2021, other than I dropped it back down because we didn't get the brownstones.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes. So those will be picked up this year.
Gotcha. Okay.
So moving on to apartment assessments. This is budgeted the same as last year. It just doesn't change. Unless anybody has any questions, we can move on to builder assessments. So builder assessments dropped from 11,400 to 1,800 due to the Oxford Commons bill. So we have left is brownstones at Providence now. Commercial dues, that has to do with the gas station over here as well as this complex.
Gas station?
Yeah.
Wondering what that
was. Social event income down a bit from last year to this year, just due to the fact that that budget decreased as well.
Which social events do we charge funders for?
I'm sorry. So
Last year we did like the cooking demonstration, the paint night. So those typically events are ones that homeowners have to pay for. There are probably others that I can't think off the top of
But
my head.
the red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue.
Canadian.
That's
Exactly.
that we pay for multiple paint event.
Was the comedian on the strip.
That's after the fact, but you still have to count the income for collecting. So that's, so what you donate is on the separate line item, but what you collect is still on the income.
So are we paying for these vendors to come put on these events?
That's gonna be the social, that's gonna be on the expenses. So you have to look at expenses item, but this is for income.
I know, but are we charging homeowners to come to these events and then
Yes.
homeowners have, or I'm sorry, are we paying for the vendors to come do the events and then homeowners have to pay for the events?
Sometimes, and sometimes it's just a portion, a percentage of it. It's not always the entire amount.
That's my only question on that.
Okay. So then moving on, bad debt is just the anticipated uncollectible debt for the association for the year. Stays the same from 2020 to 2021. Working capital, so when units are initially sold at build out and they are first sold, each unit has to contribute to this working capital. So it's just going to stay the same from last year to this year. Design review, that's just anticipated income that we get for architectural applications where they have to put down like a $35 fee if they're doing a pool or something extensive. Rental fees is having to do with the room that we're setting in right now. So just anticipated income for private parties and such.
So homeowners can contact this place.
Or outside people too, doesn't necessarily have to be.
Doesn't have to be a property owner.
They have to get their own insurance, do they have to get their own insurance when they? They do.
Yeah. And then, so the interest, moving down to interest, that is from 21,300 down to 3,600 this year. The big decrease is because all the funds for Huckleberry Park that were coming in and creating all that interest are now gone because we've completed the park. And then the transfer to reserve is just that, the transfer from operating to reserves per the most recent reserve study that was reflected by the board.
So we are going to protect about $500 into the
My computer is super slow. Okay, so now I think we can start going through the expenses for the operating account. So expenses, starting with the management fee, which doesn't change from last year, it stays the same. And so then going over to the admin in general, under admin in general, starting with management fees, going down to salary and budgets. Slight increase from 2020 to 2021, cost of living increase.
I have questions about that one. So we have 7 full-time employees, correct?
We have 7 full-time
And
employees.
that's what this is talking about, 7.
That reflects 9. We budget for 9 because that's what our contract is for.
Okay, so I believe that 9 is a little bit too many. Can we reduce management to 5 or 6? Is there, what is the reason to have 9 management team members, or do we need to put aside? And I think that having almost 3 or 4 extra is a little bit over the top.
Sure, no. I mean, that is definitely a recommendation that you can make. I will tell you that we budget for 9 because in a non-COVID world, 9 is what it takes to run this association smoothly and efficiently. And so my recommendation would not be to take it down to 7.
Where does it say that in the contract?
I'd have to find it.
Have it right here.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. I don't want to throw it at you.
No, that's okay. That's all right.
Do you happen to know like what section it would be under?
I do not.
Okay, because I've looked through it multiple times and I've never seen an employee count.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. Even if the contract doesn't state 9, I still wouldn't recommend going down to 7.
Well, I did research for Mountain Edge, which is kind of like our sister community, right? And Mountain Edge has 12,000 homes for residences, and they have a management team of 10. So we're talking for per employee, they've got 1,200 homes that they're responsible for. So if we compare it as best we can, that's the closest community I can find that would compare our current situation. We would only need 5, maybe 6 if we want to be generous. So if we have 9 employees, we probably eliminate 3. And that's a cost saving measure that I'd like to see. We need those savings to go elsewhere this year. We need at most 6. I would like it to see it 5, but at most 6, because we're only getting 600 homes.
Does everybody else agree with that?
I agree. What I would like to see is, okay, how many people on staff right now?
7.
You have 7, and I know it's about $45,000, right, roughly. I think we budgeted for 58, 54
Okay.
on a monthly basis. So right now we are using about $9,000 less a month due to the 9-to-4 complement, right? I think if you look at salary and benefits, that's what we are spending right now. I do with this, I think business will return to somewhat normalcy, but we are not going to see normal like we see normal in the past. So I agree, we do need to look at staffing analysis to see whether or not we need to have 4 management complement on board, because a lot of activity has been reduced this year. And personally, I don't see us resume to the full speed of what happened prior to March 17, 2020.
So I will
do
say
recommend
this.
that we do take a look at the current complement. Obviously, there's always a complement studied on the size. You know, you can compare apple and orange. Mount Edge might have a different activity than Providence. So I don't want to use another HOA to compare Providence. You gotta look at the size of the community, how close we are to each other, what's the footprint, how many parks do we have, how many events we have. So it's not apple to apple, but I still think that we could do the analysis on the complement.
So the analysis may take some time,
Okay, that's fine.
but
So
the
I
budget's
think we
going
keep the
to.
budget as is.
Mhm.
Because it doesn't mean we're gonna spend it, you're not even spending it right now, you still
Correct.
$45,000 a month on the, instead of what we budgeted for.
I'd like to know what dollar amount also would, I mean, if we're just talking bodies, we still have to put money into those bodies, okay? Because you could be talking this position versus that position. So it's gonna carry your benefits and all of that's gonna go hand in hand. We're talking $20,000, keep the 2 people. If we're talking 50 more, then let's take a look at it and see. But I agree, we can't, though Mountain's Edge is big, I understand that, but we don't know what kind of activities they have or.
And that's what I called for. I asked for those kinds of things. Because I wanted to get the comparison as close as possible. No community is going to be exactly the same as another. So like I understand that. And they don't have the amenities that like Sky Candy does, that Summerlin does, anyone that does, because we're not those people. Mountain's Edge is the closest one I could find. They have 12,000 homes, and as far as amenities they have, it's 3 parks. And we're one less park than they are.
They
They
have
don't have
24,
a clubhouse, they don't have, I mean, they have events and whatnot, but
24/7 security, because that is one of our big ticket items.
Yeah,
They
that's
have
not
control.
the salaries. So.
I know, but we have people who still have to monitor and manage the security from internal as well as, I mean, they just don't go out on their own.
Well, I'm just talking about,
Yeah.
management, not like.
No, I know management, but someone inside here still keeps a little bit of thumb on the security.
Yes, like someone on, like.
Staff.
Our
on site,
staff
that's what I
here,
wanna say, on site,
site
yes, yes,
staff. So,
yes.
I mean, we have to consider that too.
Right, so, because we do the, like, the advantage of having management here on site, easy access. So I just think that having budgeting for 9 employees when really we don't need it is a little bit over the top. So personally, I recommend we look into eliminating at least 3 positions. I just think that's a little too much for our community.
Question real fast, just the person who oversees security, they work for Securitas, right? Out of this office? And that's an
So
employee from, of CMC,
an employee from CCMC oversees Securitas.
and that's all they do?
No, that's
No,
just part of the
that's
job.
not-
It's part of
Okay,
the
what
scope.
else is that person, like, what else is that person?
So I can speak to that because I used to be in that position as director of operations. We oversee Securitas, Brightview, and all vendors that come on site. We
Okay,
set up new vendors and we also take care of the compliance department as well. So there's 2 departments that we restructured into one instead of having a community standards manager and a facilities director. We combined those 2 positions, which is where you got savings as well because you were paying for 2 separate people at one particular time back in 2018. And prior to that, you had a facilities director and a community standards manager. So we combined those 2 positions because they work in tandem with each other, especially with doing self-help. We have to go onto property with homeowners that are not in compliance to take care of their front yards when they come to that point. And we have to utilize Securitas as well as Brightview. So it just made sense for that position to work in tandem with those vendors.
So what we really need to figure out right now is, Lori's recommendation right now is to take it down by 3. So we just need to make sure that if everybody wants that everybody's got to be on the same page for the same recommendation.
I would recommend it reduce down to 407, which right now we have 2 vacancies, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we are not filling those 2
Don't
vacancies,
fill.
and we'll recommend those to the board for approval.
I
Just
will go with,
simply not fill them. Is that
Just
your-
don't fill
yes,
them.
Just simply not fill them.
Correct.
right, go back. I'll go with that one. Just don't fill 2 positions.
it's a good compromise, so I'll go for it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can always, if, it'd be a line item that goes over, if all of a sudden we have a bus, wham bam year next year and the year after, but I don't see it happening. I mean, who
So
knows?
just so I'm clear, I know, Chu, you said,
Yeah,
reduce it by
vacancies.
2 by just not hiring the other 2.
Correct.
Are you talking about still budgeting for 9?
No, I think we need to go back and look at the budget.
Okay, so we're
So
taking
but
it
we have
back.
to get a
yes.
full approval
Alright,
first before we
perfect.
change the budget, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm asking.
Right,
Okay,
so we
just
have to
making sure.
go with the board approval for the reduction of the,
Right, but I'm saying you're
Yes.
looking to reduce it by 2 in the budget, not just not
Right.
hire 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect, that's what I
Yes.
wanted to know. Okay, perfect. Moving on from salaries and benefits to the audit and tax. It's nothing related today about that, other than it stays the same. We're required to do it, and that's how much it costs us year to year. Any questions, guys? Education?
what is that for?
That's for the
Yeah.
That's
board.
for the board members.
That was the
Yeah, but
board.
I mean, this is for like required courses?
They don't have CPUs.
No,
do
there's
they?
no real required courses. CIA or CAI and a couple of other various industry organizations, they offer CE credit classes or just classes for board members to educate them on how
That's
to
good.
be fiduciary
Yeah,
board members.
Okay.
So. Ombudsman fee, it's another one of those things. There's nothing really you can do with that one. It's what it is. Legal fees, those were taken, I bumped it up just a tad for the year, just because we had more stuff happening in 2020. I didn't do a whole lot because I just don't know if we're going to have the activity that we had last year that caused all of that. So
Hopefully
I didn't
not.
want to take it down for sure, but I didn't bump it up too
Yeah.
much.
Okay.
Licensing fees and permits.
I have some questions on this.
Okay.
What's the CAI membership for, I'm guessing this is Providence Master Homeowners Association. right?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a CAI membership? Why?
It's what the board has wanted, I guess. It's been in their budget for.
What does it mean?
So with this
Well, I think-
membership, the board members are allowed to attend luncheons, which they are provided with education at that point.
Okay.
So that's one of them. I don't know if there's any particular event that the board would entertain, but I know it's just for the luncheons in specific and giving the education.
Okay, how many times has somebody actually gone to one of these things?
I know
I
the
know
wall
goes
goes
often.
often. Been a couple of times, yeah.
Okay, just making sure that someone's actually.
Taking advantage of it.
I also have a couple of other ones. What's the subscriptions? It just says subscriptions.
So we have like Adobe subscription, Spotify for when people are actually utilizing this room. I think Outlook is one, I don't know.
So is that Spotify under music licensing or is that under just subscriptions?
Yeah, I think it's under subscription. Music licensing was something different, as I remember Jenna explaining it.
Okay, the Amazon Prime membership, I'm guessing that's because you guys use that to order.
Office supplies.
supplies.
And, yeah.
Okay. All right. That's all.
So with that one, I mean, I basically kept it the same. There's not too much. Anything else on that one, guys?
Can I ask just to clarify subscriptions a little bit more, like put what they actually are, just so that, because this is like third year in a row I've asked this, and every year I'm like, what's subscriptions? So is there any way you can, instead of just putting subscriptions, just put what those subscriptions are in that line?
No problem. Okay, next, meeting expenses. So those were reduced from 22,456 in 2020 to 12,240 in 2020.
What's the Southern Nevada Community Association institution meeting for? The Southern Nevada Community Association Institute meeting.
Honestly, I would have to look into that, Katie. I'm not positive.
Because we're budgeting $2,000 a year for it, and I don't have any idea what it's for, or what its purpose is, or why we have it. I've never even heard about it before.
That, I was gonna say, is that SNAP, but I don't think it is.
The Southern Nevada community, I have no idea what that is.
Okay, yeah,
Well, we'll look into that right now and try to find that answer for you, Katie.
okay.
We'll keep going though in the
I do have other
meantime.
questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the bi-monthly board of directors meeting, is it 2,100? What are we paying for 2,100?
So you had asked that, I think, in your email as well. You know, I think in the past, I mean, obviously right now we're doing Zoom meetings, so there's really not much to them. In the past, I would have to assume that maybe that was for the cost of printing for the meeting, maybe.
Maybe
Supply, you know, and the other thing, you know, with this particular line item is I know that there was, at the annual meeting last year, there was some griping about the annual meeting being held in this room because it can't at all contain the amount of people if we were to get a quorum, right, for the annual meeting. It could never contain that amount. So it was told to management that we probably should take it off site, which is what we're doing this year. And so that just tent rental, you know, we've got to rent a lot more things for something like that. We've got to do audio, visual. things like that.
Where office like, where are we going?
Huckleberry Park.
So what will we need for that? I mean, you're not talking setting up chairs or anything.
Yeah, we need tent, we need chairs. We're going to have audio visual because we have to live stream the counting of the ballots that are going to take place here. So that's just making sure that we have money should we need to go offsite for the meeting.
Okay, the next one is the quarterly new resident meet and greet meeting.
Mhm.
That doesn't belong in that line item. That needs to be under lifestyle events.
That's up to you guys as a committee.
Just makes
I
sense. It's a
kind of-
social thing.
I kind of agree with that because it is more social and more,
That's not an official meeting of any kind. That's just a social welcome. Glad to have you. That should be under lifestyle or social. Change the name this year to social.
I go either way, because when you have a new neighbors, new people on board, you want to inform them what is going on with Providence. Introduce them. I came to very first, welcome to the neighborhood meeting. I consider this meeting is very informative, the PowerPoint presentation. We sit here to go over what is included in Providence, because I have no idea as a new resident. To me, it's a meeting. It is not a social, for me to come here to socialize with people. And it's every quarter you have new people moving in, and it's really designed for those folks.
What does meet and greet mean? That's social.
Well, no, it's not social to me. I
We're not
wasn't
coming in and just
social.
sitting down in a boring meeting.
I was sitting down for a meeting on PowerPoint presentation. I wasn't here just walking around socializing with people. That's not what I came here for. And that's not what they have in the meeting planning for.
Okay, I looked at that and I thought that seems more social to me. It should go under social.
Or you could change the name to a different, more introduction meeting instead of meet and greet. It's just trying to give a new resident
New
an
resident
opportunity
meeting.
to know
Change
what
the name.
is the Providence Master HOA is about. Because I would not know if I didn't come here for that specific meeting.
What about the new neighbor mailings that they get when a new home is purchased? Don't they get some kind of package?
They get a welcome package.
So we've doubled up. We have a meet and greet meeting that we pay for and the packet. And I think the packet probably gets the job done. If they have any questions, they can either just come to the social events that we host or come to management and ask some questions.
I don't know, I definitely see value in the meet and greet.
I
I
do.
went to this last one and it was a really
Yeah.
nice opportunity to get to
I've
actually
come
meet
in
and
too.
see the new residents and have them interact with each other in management, but it was great for them to be able to make that connection. So I really think they're very useful.
Also too, on our last one, we had one homeowner who was very confused about what his sub-association did versus what the master association did.
Okay.
And I do get the fact that, yes, they can call us and ask us questions, but sometimes I feel like people don't feel comfortable, and just to have that open forum and being able to talk and meet other people from other sub-associations, we were able to build that rapport with them. And it's a whole presentation. It's just not, this is Providence, welcome. We actually go through the inception of Providence, how Providence came, the master association, who's on their management team, what we do, and how we can help them as a new homeowner. So it is somewhat, I believe, beneficial, not just to sell it. I do believe that people do see a benefit of that, because there's a lot of associations that don't do that. They just get a welcome packet and a coupon booklet and say, this is it, say la vie, and they don't have that open mind.
And I don't think most of people will read the welcome package. That's just my opinion.
nobody
This
reads
is
anything
just-
sent them.
This is just nice.
You're not
because
lying,
it is-
Katie.
It is a one-on-one. And again, it makes people, I know the ones I've gone to, people are just more comfortable if they know you live here and they feel by asking a question. And it's not dumb, no question is dumb. So I think they're very valuable to have.
Are we okay to keep that under meeting
Yeah,
expenses?
that's
then?
fine. I just- Okay, the next one I have concerns with is the annual volunteer appreciation meeting. I know that last year it was budgeted for like $6,000 and they reduced the budget. And I don't think it's appropriate to be whining and dining volunteers. So I don't think that should exist at all. We shouldn't be having a volunteer appreciation.
So your recommendation is to remove that from the
Yes,
budget?
that's.
We didn't have it last year anyway, so.
No, you didn't have it.
Are you guys all in agreement of
I'm
that?
I
okay
agree
with
with
that.
that.
Take it.
Okay,
Do you have any more for me? Since I actually saw them.
Just the annual meeting, which I know we just talked about. The annual, you said we're doing the annual meeting. Is that the one we were just talking about, the Huckleberry Park? So that's the annual meeting. So now I'm confused because you have board of directors meeting at 2100 to cover an offsite place, but then we have the annual meeting, which you already anticipate doing offsite. So which is it?
Well, I think the annual meeting, this is the first year they're doing it offsite, so.
Right, but when I asked about the board of directors meeting,
Mhm.
you have the 2100, and you said in case we have it offsite, which I
Mhm.
don't think is going to happen.
Okay.
You already anticipate the offsite for annual meeting. So that's my question, which is it? So if we're going to keep money for the annual meeting because you plan on doing it offsite and you've got to accommodate that, then we need to go back to the board of directors meeting, because I don't think 2100 is appropriate for the board of directors meeting.
So that's fine, that's your recommendation. I disagree. I suggest that we keep somewhat of a budget for our regular session meetings,
Well, not-
just
I
in
don't
case
want to
something
get
come
rid of it. I just
up.
want
You know,
to
should we need to
reduce it.
spend money on that, we need to make sure there's money in that line item.
I don't want to get rid of either of those things, I just want to reduce it some. So at the board of directors meeting, if it's here, when I looked at this, I was trying to think, we had to rent chairs, right? If we don't have chairs, if we rent chairs and maybe some bottled water for people to come. The board of directors meeting, if it's just here, right, you're not doing anything extravagant, $600 should cover board of directors meetings for the year. I mean, you're just having the board visit and chair rentals, correct, and water bottles for people to come in. What expenses am I not seeing?
No,
That's why I
I-
asked for the breakdown. I wanted to know if what breakdown am I missing? Because it just seems that if we're just having a table of chairs and we're visiting at a board meeting, that should suffice. And then we go down to the annual meeting, we're talking, it's gonna cost us $5,000 to do it off-site. Because in the past, it's been a very large social thing. And we need to get away from that too. It needs to be just kind of the ballot count, right? Ballot count usually.
We do the ballot count, yeah.
Okay, we don't need to be catering. or
That's up to,
anything like that.
that's up to the committee as a whole.
Well, that's what I'm trying, okay, so I guess that's my question.
Your
I'm
question is
trying
really to
find out-
them.
I'm trying to find out the breakdown cost though. So if we do an annual meeting off-site, what kind of costs go into renting a tent and sound? I don't know any of that.
So we're just doing it for the first time. After we do it, I think we'll have a better idea of what all those costs are gonna be.
Well, you should know ahead of time what costs should be, not after the fact. So if you already anticipate you're going to do it on-site, you should have a general idea. We need a tent, we need a sound, we need table, we
Right.
need chairs.
And we're right now planning for that. You understand that? Like, we're right now, like, getting with our vendors, getting quotes, this and that. We're not gonna be able to apply that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
We are budgeting an item
Yes.
based on anticipation of a large audience or residents attending this annual meeting. Hence, that meeting may not even take place because what happened occurred last year. We still need to budget that money, doesn't mean we are going to spend the money for it. We want to make sure that we have enough budget for it. If we, in fact, have more people want to attend this meeting, they can go out to look at what the cost, maybe 50 people, maybe 100 people, maybe 2,000 people show up. You may not even have enough money, 2,000 people show up for this meeting. But not having a budget is not being responsible for the meetings.
Oh, I didn't say to get rid of it, I'm just trying to understand the breakdown. So if you have 100 people versus 1,000 people, the sound doesn't change. You're still gonna get
It's going to
sound.
we
change.
have it
It's
here.
going to change. 100 people can hear, versus 1,000 people, it's going to have 5 microphones, then 2 microphones. I'm not, because they can hear me.
We told them to speak up so they can hear.
We have
I'm not
sound.
yelling, because
Okay.
they can hear you.
So we have sound, you have a microphone, you have a speaker. You might need 2 speakers. Like, you should have a general idea of how much something like that would cost. And I understand you have, 100 people versus 1,000 people, that would come into the budget. We plan on feeding everybody. Do we plan on feeding everybody? No. Do we just need, do we plan on having a chair for everybody, or is it just gonna be, have
We're
some
planning on having a
semblance-
tent and chairs and audio visual and waters
And
and
so-
things like that. So, I mean,
So
look,
the ideal when you plan for an annual meeting is you should plan for everybody who is in the association to attend. So you should try to base your numbers off of that, because everybody, if it's a homeowner, is allowed to attend. So if we're going to estimate how much we could possibly spend, we should go off of how many properties are actually in the community. So
You can't
if
say it
only-
could be 100 or 1,000, well, what are you planning for? And so
Right,
what
we
is
should
it?
plan
So if
for
you're gonna plan for
everybody.
So
1,000,
then you plan for 5,000 homeowners show up.
Well,
So
5,000.
what goes in, that's my question, what goes into having 5,000 people show up at Huckleberry Park? You need sound. I don't think. having
No,
5,000
seriously,
chairs
if you're
is-
gonna get done and you're
Well,
gonna plan for that, yeah,
true,
because if
it's-
4,995 show up and 5 have to stand, you won't hear the end of it. So if you're gonna plan, and again, we're almost talking this way in a hypothetical, okay? They're planning that if it happens, that I don't,
That's
I'd be
fine.
surprised if
Sorry.
it happens this year to the extent it happened last year. Well, we don't know that. So they're planning to go ahead now. Yes, they need to know the cost, but right now we're assuming. And 21, that is not a very large amount of money for this size of the community.
I'm talking about the 5,000.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
it's 2,100.
No, I was talking about 5,000. It's not that big of an amount for this many people in this community, and especially if you budget for 5,000.
So if you're budgeting for 5,000, is $5,000 enough to cover
Okay,
sound
so-
and tent and chairs?
No, probably not.
No, definitely not.
But I don't think 5,000 also, I understand what you're saying, because I have association background as well.
I mean, obviously, we're
However-
anticipating for more, for a
Right.
larger number,
Right.
just because of what we experienced last year.
Yeah.
And, we don't know exactly what that larger number is gonna be, so, I don't know what else to say other than, if you'd like to make a propose to bring that number down, please
No.
let them know, and then we can vote on that.
No, I just didn't know what $5,000 is for. It's for tents, it's for chairs, it's for staff. I want to make sure that the money that we do set aside is going to what it's supposed to go for, and I don't want to go over the top and say, okay, now we're also going to cater. Because at the last meeting, we had someone going around serving us food. Stuff like that needs to go away. We just need to stick with.
They come over to get the plate, they may have to, nobody come around, so they should, that you say.
But they were there. and
I was
we
never
paid for them.
catered
So we
to,
need to
yeah.
get rid of stuff like that. So we just need to have,
We didn't budget for the caterer this year at all.
so we shouldn't have that. So don't put catering in your list of planning because that's not, we're not.
It's not.
And I think we already discussed that, we're not gonna have those events to have any wine or beer to serve at the resident event. We're just gonna provide water, we are gonna provide tent, we're gonna provide chair. We are anticipating to spend $5,000 for this annual meeting. If we end up with less people show up, we not spend $5,000, we might end up spending $200. Okay,
So
that's
I
the
want to
end
know what
of it.
we're planning for.
So we don't even talk about catering, so I don't even think we even need to get to that. Cater won't be $5,000, I can tell you that.
I don't think it costs
$5,000 will not cover for catering.
Well, go ahead.
Are you guys still discussing?
Yeah, we are done.
Okay. It's-
So are we clear that, are we good with all
I
the
have
numbers right
another
there?
question on another item on, in that
So,
category.
yeah, so go ahead.
Okay.
You said a couple.
We were talking about, actually, people asked what the, and I had no idea what the Southern Nevada Community Association institution is. What it looks like to me is that it's its chapter.
It's the-
Yeah, it's
So
the
that's-
CAI chapter.
And I don't see that we're paying CAI dues, so we're paying to be a member of this.
For the chapter.
Right, isn't that what a question somebody asked, and they
Yeah,
were gonna look at us?
I still don't understand what that means, being a chapter of what benefit does
Of the mother of the parent organization, right?
Right.
Well, it's
From what
almost
the
like a
web
Chamber of
pages
Commerce,
say.
right? If I use the Chamber of Commerce as
Yeah.
example.
Yeah,
The business
it's
belongs to
maybe
Chamber of
something
Commerce.
like that for HOA.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're hosting a meeting every year?
No, that's probably people's membership dues.
Then why is it under meeting expense?
Wait, what are we looking at? I'm sorry.
So
The
Southern
Southern
Nevada
Nevada,
Association's
if
doing-
indeed that is, it does need to be moved.
Okay.
If that's what it is, but before, when we weren't sure even what it was. So after doing a search, my guess is it's our dues belong to the Southern Nevada CAI.
But I believe that, because I know us as management, we also attend these meetings as well, whether it be for continuing education. So
Correct.
I'm assuming that is our, just like you said, that is our contribution for us allowing to be a part of
Yes.
that, as well as bringing the board members.
Right.
and stuff as well.
So that clears up what it is. Now it's just, do we want to leave
Leave
it
it there.
So-
in meeting expenses, or do we want to move it to?
That, I wouldn't consider that,
Continuing ed.
yeah, I wouldn't consider that a meeting expense, I would consider that a professional fee
Yeah, I can continue with continuing ed, so to speak, or
or licensing. fees
PR,
for
or, yeah, something like that.
So
If
is your
indeed.
recommendation, Katie, to move it under professional fees?
I actually would recommend to move it to license fees and permits. Because professional fees is something else by necessity.
It would be a professional fee, though. If it's
Yeah.
membership, it's a professional fee. Do we belong to anything else that's in that category?
Do you want to, part of education slash?
Professional fees, professional consulting and industry services. So we
That
put-
makes sense.
Yes, I would, if that is what it's for, well, then yeah, I would move it.
So professional fees, yes?
Yeah, if that's
Is
what it
everybody in
is.
agreement?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fine.
I have another question about meeting expenses. I would actually like to see a breakdown of what we're spending on beverages and snacks. And break that out of every meeting, so bi-monthly board meetings, the community meetings, or I'm sorry, the committee meetings, the town hall meetings. I would actually like to see, like, break this down and say, this is what we're, like, create a new line item that says beverage and snacks for meetings, kind of thing, because you can't tell what we're actually spending on any of this stuff just by looking at the budget or the
Would
financials.
be- So that would basically be us keeping an inventory of what people drink.
Well, you,
while
No,
they're-
of what you're
Stuff ahead of
spending
time.
on beverages for meetings.
Okay, so just broken out as its own line
Right.
item in general?
Right.
It'd be a general ledger item.
Do you guys?
I know for
That's
I
like
don't-
town halls and stuff, but I think,
I'm okay with
I
that.
Yeah.
think with the water may be the biggest thing, but as far as like the snacks, that has been a lifestyle thing, and we've always just, whatever lifestyle does not utilize, we utilize that for stuff.
We have check snacks, mixed bags, we'll put them out for the meeting, but it's
Yeah,
not
but it's-
necessarily.
you're not buying, you're not going to Sam's Club. and
No,
buying
no.
stuff.
But we have stuff from last year that still is being utilized from lifestyle events. that
Right.
people just
So it'd be
have not-
difficult to say like, this is what we spend on snacks,
Then I
we don't
wouldn't
really,
do
we
it.
don't really buy anything
Because it's
else.
included in the narrative comments that's what.
I mean, I think in the past they have, you know, if, let's say, Lifestyle ran out of snacks and if they needed maybe snacks for, you know, so it's there if we should need to, but like she said, for the longest time, we've just been pulling it from Lifestyle's leftovers, so.
Yeah, that's stuff that I mean, especially like if we have ice cream socials, like you can look in the storage, in the freezers right there, we still have ice creams from the ice cream social.
But
that we
you're not
were
going
watching.
for a specific meeting environment.
Nope, we just leave the old stuff.
That's probably crystallized.
Right, we probably should check the expiration on that.
Don't turn that to me.
For the longest, Jeff was promoting the snacks, so he was just like handing them out at one time because we had to.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, that's fine.
So, next we have office supplies.
I have a question on that one.
So
So bottled drinking water seems insane, being honest. I think of bottled water at, like Sam's Club, you can get a packet for 36 bottles or 42 bottles for $4. And we're setting aside nearly $2,000 for bottled drinking water in the office. That's not for meetings, that's not for events or anything, that's just to hear how.
No,
At the office.
that's everything. That's for everything.
Then why is it under office supplies? That would need to go back.
Well,
into-
again, that comes back to, that's your recommendation, that's up
Okay,
to you
let-
guys, we don't care where it goes. as
Because
long
this
as you
is-
guys are okay where it
This has been
sits.
the Achilles heel for since the get-go. Let's move it and put it, if it is just general use, let's put it in the meeting category, move it up.
But that's,
If it's not for staff, and I've been everywhere, and the staff isn't drinking the water.
Well, then,
That's still a
what
lot
if,
of water.
instead of moving it to its own, it should, honestly, I would like it to be its own line item, so this is what we're spending each year on beverage and snacks, period, at the end, so that you can see how much we're spending on beverage and snacks.
oh, you mean.
Again, that's
you mean
general
not
ledger.
under- Not under meetings or
Right.
office, you're talking about
Having it
food
be
in
its,
general.
yeah, having it be its own thing.
It
Okay, I
could be,
just-
it should be a sub on a general ledger. It does not need its own line item. I
But
mean,
it'll be difficult,
I
it'll
don't
be difficult, because if Lifestyle is holding an event, and we use Lifestyle as 0575, how are you gonna break it out for what we utilize in the office specifically?
that would come
For
from
other
guys
meetings.
internally. You'd have to
But that's
do
what
it
I-
as a staff.
Okay,
person.
So bottled
you guys know
drinking
that.
water would, that shouldn't exist then. If you're gonna have a social event and you're gonna provide bottled water, that will go in their budget for that
Yeah,
event.
and it does.
And whatever's left over, you can use for meeting. But it shouldn't have its own line item because you're just gonna utilize Lifestyle. If Lifestyle wants to provide water bottles, cool, but it needs to go in their budget. Not its own line item per se, but you say, like, if you have the Harvest Day and you're handing out water bottles to everybody, that would go into the Harvest Day Festival budget. So you account for all the vendors and the food and the snacks and the bottled water. So it doesn't belong here. If it's gonna go into lifestyle, we need to distribute it back into lifestyle, and lifestyle needs to account for that. Having this under here, it's very confusing.
So where did you want to move
It
it?
has to be summarized on a line item somewhere. I would think
And when we.
that everybody who handles those different events should have their own budget and should have their own line items of what they spend. I mean, okay, so that we can say, okay, of this $500, how much went to this event, and as good staff people, they should have that breakdown, okay? But you can't, because the budget's not set up, like, we don't have 5 different budgets within one budget, okay? To do that, to put a lifestyle, put it here, put it there, it needs to be on one line item and then internally broken down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so, but,
It has to stay in one summarized line item.
well, we're going back and forth now, because then I can say, if we wanna have our own line item, I can go back to what Katie's saying, is that we need a line item called food. Because at a lifestyle event or a social event, they account for food they might provide, right?
But that could be
So
a
it's
general
in their-
ledger.
Yeah, it's already in their budget, but when we receive the invoice, we have to code it to that
Yes.
specific line item, which it does happen that way. So if 0575 spent, which is lifestyle, spent $20 on bottled water, and the office spent 30, it's gonna go to 0569 for that $30 and 0575 for that other $20 for lifestyle.
So if you want, is it possible, I'm only throwing this out, if you'd like to see that information, instead of making it a separate, because it shouldn't be a separate budget item, I think it's a separate item on the general ledger. If you want, when we have our meetings, and there's been an expense for that month, maybe the staff can break it down, okay, for this month of the $500, this one, and this one, spent that much.
But on each event.
Yes.
That's what, yeah, that would have. to come
And
from
just
lifestyle,
as a
because that's
supplement to
that's their
us,
budget.
to the finance committee, then that answers what you'd like to know, that we have been putting it to the right spots, and that for that month, that money is accounted for by the different lifestyle events or other events.
Yeah,
So
so
I also
then
think-
it doesn't belong here, so that needs to be eliminated and then just put under lifestyle or social.
I don't care where you put it, it just needs to be.
I also think that each lifestyle, as you mentioned, depending on the attendance. So we might have leftover. We might wanna have some staff member or the admin start to calculate, okay, that we purchased 5 cases water. We end up with 3 cases leftover. So maybe just have each of that, we talk about some of the events. We may wanna make sure that we have how much expenses we spent, how much leftover we have, and then we can say, hey, we use those that, well, just provide more detail by the admin keep track. So when this question, nobody's gonna remember what happened to those events as soon as it's over.
Right.
But if we could have some kind of tag on how many people show up at the meeting, how much money we budget for, how much money we collect for, if there's fee associated with, how much money we spend on expenses, what's the leftover stuff, then we know those left stuff is for another meeting that we
Correct.
use. So I think just providing more detail in those events, and that way when we have this budget discussion, we have those information available, maybe put a binder together, provide that detail.
But moving on office supplies in that case, if we
And
are
I don't
gonna
know
do that.
today's office, but yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
Okay, so that's being moved out of office supply?
Yeah,
So you
I
were,
mean,
water is being moved to,
wasn't that the
Social
original?
events.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
We just made a full circle, so, yeah, is it agreed that we move, for our information, they can supply us backup for,
Okay.
okay? So
Office
water,
supplies to me means here in
pencils,
this office,
pens,
and
that-
board members coming in and out. home.
I've worked in places where
That's-
put it both, but it doesn't really matter, so let's just move it.
are we moving it to,
Where do you guys want to
Social
put,
events. If that's what it's being bought for,
Yes.
social events.
and put it up there?
Yeah, it needs to go on social event.
But then, so if we're utilizing it for a sub-association meeting, because like going there right now, there's bottled water in there right now, that's not a social event, so it would still
That's
be
why I
treated.
suggested it being a whole thing.
I would treat the water, at that point, I would treat the water like extra check spaces you've gotta let people have it, but it should be budgeted under social events. And they plan on getting it, they have excess, keep it deposit. Isn't that what you said earlier with the snacks and food that you have? You don't cater, you just pull whatever the lifestyle has, so water bottle, the same thing.
Well, because we're not having events where we're actually passing that stuff out rather than it go back, that's why we're utilizing it for the sub associations at this particular point.
And that's fine, because you're using something we already paid for, so.
So in a monthly,
It just
just
goes
on the
under social.
description, yeah,
It just goes under social, that's the.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
just move it to social
Okay,
Okay, let's move on.
let's move on, please.
I have some more questions about the office supplies.
So do I.
Where in the management contract does it say what Providence is responsible for providing to management for office supplies? Because everything that the association pays for, or management, or pays to management has to be contracted. So where is it contracted in the management contract that we have to be responsible for logo wear for staff, radio supplies, replacement filters for ice maker, replacement filter, what is the RO water filter? What?
Reverse osmosis.
Okay, check scanner supplies, we have to provide your guys' name badges and business cards. That should all be contracted
With men.
within the management contract between CCMC and Providence.
So
And
the
I've
check
never found that.
scanner, the check scanner is how we process homeowner payments.
Yes, I know.
So why would, I'm just asking, just for clarification, why would that be something that the management company would have to supply if that is something that's benefiting the association?
Because the management company needs it in order to do their job. So why are we paying everything that CCMC charges Providence for anything should be in the management contract?
So that's a
office supplies,
contract,
all of that.
that's I mean, that's a great question.
Where
It's a
is that in the
contract
management
question,
contract? Or where is that in
and
the
we
contract?
definitely can look into that.
Because I've never found it. I've looked at the management contract like
Right.
times.
I don't think I've ever claimed that it's been in there.
Right.
I don't know if it is or not. I would have to
I
look
don't
at that,
think it
Katie.
is.
Um,
And we're paying $17,000 a year on
Mhm.
stuff that
Management should provide.
honestly management should be providing for itself.
okay, well,
And if we have to pay for it, it needs to be contracted and it needs to be in the management contract.
okay, and I say to you that that's a conversation we could definitely have on a different level in terms of marrying those two together. I just don't know how that's going to affect the budget right
It would be eliminated.
Exactly. Because
So,
unless it's in the management contract, you guys can't charge us for it. And we don't have to pay for it.
I wouldn't recommend removing it, but again, that's a committee decision.
I think the word can't is a little strong. I think it's been the practice of the board. Now, again,
Right,
okay,
you're right, it has been the practice of the board,
don't- yeah.
but it's gotta be.
they've got to
management
be the
contract.
ones who say, we want you to pay, or we would like you to, or it's really grand that you pay for this stuff. The can't is strong, and it, I so understand what you're saying about the contract. This is probably something that we should set up a few years ago as a nice thing to do.
I understand that, but this is our money and we're paying.
Okay,
for-
so they need to
we're
look
paying-
into it.
We're paying for things that
We are.
CCMC should be.
That
providing.
is a board decision. This is, but right now
Yes.
to take it out until the board goes to it.
Well, that's what we're doing tonight, is to make
Yeah.
recommendations. We have to tell the board.
Yeah, this is me telling
And
the
the
board,
board can
hey,
go,
we're
uh-uh.
paying for stuff that's not in the management contract and we should.
We're paying for nice, so you don't want to pay for nice.
It's our money that is being
You
spent.
don't want to
for
pay for the
niceness.
niceness.
Okay, let me.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I don't
think we
agree,
should-
though.
I don't think we should be paying for
That's fair enough.
logo wear for staff members.
I've always been spoiled working big associations. so. I don't think we should take it out. So I don't agree to that.
I
Okay,
have
then
no,
it needs to be in the management contract. If it's not in the management
Then
contract,
that's a
then we should be
separate,
paying.
That's a
item that
separate
needs to
issue,
be
though.
discussed
Okay,
with
then
the
that's me
board.
saying, hey, we're paying for a bunch of stuff that's not in the
Okay.
management contract.
Well, it's
we
on
should
record,
be
that she
paying for it.
says, but I'm not gonna, right at this minute, say we should take it out.
That, I would.
we
I want-
we
I
will
want
make
the
a
board to know that.
recommendation to the board to review
Review.
the expenditure of $17,000.
Yes.
We are covering for the management for the associations.
And
That
also,
perhaps should be covered by CCMC.
and also I'd like to remove the logo wear for board members because $1,200 a year,
They don't need shirts.
they don't need shirts.
How much money they have spent for this year? I'm trying to look at it.
They went up, this year it went up to 1,200.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, I don't even think,
We haven't gotten.
we haven't bought anything.
We haven't bought shirts in a while.
I didn't think so.
I don't think so.
And
either. That's why
the
they're
shirts that
saying-
we have are recycled. Every time we have an employee
Yeah,
that
I'm
leaves,
sure
we go get
everybody-
them cleaned and we recycle the shirts. We have not gotten any.
That
new shirts.
surprised me when you
Let's,
told me
and that
that.
also brings me up, where does it say that we're paying, there's no dry cleaning, listed on any of this? So why are we paying for dry cleaning for CCMC employees' shirts? And how much are we spending on dry cleaning?
Well, they're actually not CCMC employee shirts, they're Providence logo shirts
Okay, so Providence,
But
how many
for
employees
CCMC,
does Providence have?
on behalf of the association.
Exactly, so Providence doesn't
That's what
have
you're
their own
saying.
employees.
So
It's okay, yeah.
CCMC employees,
I hear you.
so we're paying for dry cleaning for CCMC employees.
I know.
We're
And
recommending
there's
that the
definitely
board
been a
take a,
benefit, I can say from, being at events, being able to decipher who is the staff and who can assist people
You do.
at specific events. That's how they're able to tell the difference between
Yes.
us and being a regular homeowner versus a staff
Yes.
member.
But don't you have CCMC logo wear you could be wearing?
No,
It doesn't need to be Providence.
I don't have any CCMC.
I don't either. I think I have a volunteer shirt because I'm a part of junior, achievement, but that's about it.
Well,
I
again, if Providence is gonna be paying for all that stuff, it should be in the management contract and this shall be negotiated.
then that is something we recommend to the board.
Yes.
Okay.
Whichever-
The board should
Okay.
take a look at that, and if it is, if it's, we don't want to be nice, you buy your own shirts, or we will buy your
CCMC
shirts and you
should
put it into the contract.
Yeah.
So the board just, it's, you know, we're recommending the board take a look at this cost,
For sure.
you know.
Where does it
That's
say?
all of office supply, correct? You want
I,
all
well, I think
office
so,
supply.
but where does dry cleaning fit in this budget? Cause I haven't found it.
I believe it gets coded to office supplies. if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Would that be considered miscellaneous office supplies then?
It's not that big. I don't
Oh, office
think
supply
it
is
matters
nice.
where it goes.
Because right now, when we received the financials for, was it July? It said miscellaneous repairs, and that's what dry cleaning was being coded to. So.
Dry-
Right, it was dry cleaning, graffiti, and irrigation repair, which those are not, irrigation repair could be miscellaneous repairs, but irrigation repair should fall under irrigation repair. So dry cleaning was going into miscellaneous repairs, dry cleaning is not a repair, so I'm just wondering where this is being.
It should be coded in where we're at right now.
Yeah, that might just not have carried over from last year.
It should be coded. Now, do you guys recommend to, because I know nothing is, very little is done here as far as coding the GL. Do you all, when you send invoices and that kind of thing down, do you tell them where they should go? Like, you know, we used to code them and send them on to,
We code them.
We code
okay,
them.
that's, yeah, I thought you did, I just,
Yep,
okay.
betcha. We good to move on, guys?
Yep.
Office equipment rental?
I guess I have a question about that then. We talked about the board meetings. So the board meeting, you're accounting for renting chairs and tents. So what
You're
is
talking
the
about
office equipment?
annual, or you're talking about?
It doesn't matter. You guys just told me that you.
I got you, yeah.
The meetings
Mhm.
to rent things as needed, right? So now I have a question of what's office equipment rental for then?
So
You've
the
already allocated
RICO,
that.
the RICO system that we use, the RICO copier, printer, scanner is one of the things that is equipment rental.
Oh, that's not purchased.
No.
So,
That's a leased item.
The shred drains that we.
oh, I'm
use for
sorry,
shred
I'm
drains.
sorry, I see it, okay. I'm sorry, it's there.
Where is that
Sorry.
management contract that we pay for all that stuff too?
That would be something management should be providing?
That should be something, if CCMC is going to be utilizing any service, it should be contracted in a management contract. If we have to, if they're gonna make Providence pay for it, it should be in a management
And
contract.
if it's not, then they.
And if it's not, then CCMC should be paying for it.
So you're talking about a copier meter, I'm sorry, what the copier meter charges, what is that?
That's when they take like the copy count.
A month to month.
Yeah, so that they know how many copies we made and
They bill you back,
Mhm.
Back for-
bill back.
they charge us for the
Per-
copies
per
of the
copy.
copier we're already renting?
You get charged per page.
There
That sounds like
are,
double
there
dipping
are
almost.
contracts that you can get where it doesn't charge you per copy.
Yeah, we got, you know what, that's, having said that, I need to look at the expiration on that lease because I don't think that's one that we want to stay in.
Yeah, you
Then
might
what's-
want to check out, but it's not a deal breaker, but there are ones that don't charge per page. Or at least it's a penny per page versus two, you know, they go from 2 cents to one
Right,
other.
right. What, then what is Net Effect IT Solutions and Shred IT?
So Shreddit is the company that actually comes and shreds our document. Any confidential information is utilized by Shreddit.
And
So we
that's
don't shred it.
management uses that.
Yes.
We want to keep. that
Okay.
as a little.
I didn't know that. So that's something I want the board to know. The board needs to know that this is something, this is called office equipment and rental. The board should know that this is actually something that management should be providing, not the HOA paying for.
And if we are paying for it, it's being managed contract, but it's currently not.
I think the board needs to take, based on these last couple of discussions, the board needs to, I might have been a lot of gentlemen agreements here years ago.
I would just
And
like
the
to point
board
out,
needs to take a look at exactly these items that we've named specifically. If indeed it was a gentleman's agreement, or it's just, you know, we'll pay for it, what exactly is the background on it? Should it, right now, should we stop the budget for it? No, but it definitely needs to be looked into.
well,
Well, it affects the budget. When you
Oh,
talk
it
about
affects the budget.
$17,000 in one line item and $24,000 in another line item, it starts to add up.
But we
But
recommend.
it's also,
that you-
there also may be a different charge with CCMC also. So
Yes.
there's gonna be based on the management agreement,
It is.
because they're not including those items, the fee is different. So you're gonna have to have a different line item that may be not on this code, but it's gonna be the different line item.
Okay, so the board
Yeah.
needs to be aware of that then. I want
Yeah.
that.
It's
Something
not
the board
like,
discusses.
just to point out, the salaries are $739,573. The HOA management fee is budgeted at $108,600. When you add in all this stuff that I found that I cannot find in the management contract, it equals $1,271,180. That's a lot of money that we are paying that's not in the management contract, so I just wanted to point that out.
So between, I'm sorry, you said between salaries,
The
office
salaries,
supplies, and office equipment rental?
the HOA management fee, and anything that goes into basically the office here, it's
Over $1 million.
it's over $1 million.
And salaries and the HOA management fee is contracted, there's a bunch of stuff like that in this, but all these little things like office supplies and who pays for the dry cleaning for CCMC employees and ice filters and logo wear and name badges and business cards, all of that is adding up to $1,271,180 a year.
So we're paying a lot more than just simple management fees.
Yes, and salaries, yes.
But we need to find out the background on it. There may be a lot of people we don't know. Who knows? Okay, we're, looking at this stuff as far as that goes.
So just for, I'm sorry,
We don't know the creation,
Right.
what happened,
Right.
so
how that
we
came to be.
need to recommend to the
Right.
board that.
If
Yeah.
there's
Right.
an agreement, awesome, but.
No, no,
I've
I
Maybe
asked
think-
for it.
somewhere, who
I've
knows?
asked for it and I've never gotten one, so.
It could be in somebody's file, who knows where it
Right.
is, so before,
Like
We get all
13
tied
years
up in
ago,
our
so we
endings.
don't even know.
Well, then it's time to
Oh,
brush it
absolutely.
up, brush it up.
So the recommendation, just so I'm clear and everybody's on the same page, the recommendation is for the board to review the office supplies and office equipment rental to be included in the management contract.
in
moving forward.
accordance with the management agreement. And is there more to this agreement, is there another part of this agreement that we don't know about,
Right, of
is
course.
this the sole binding agreement? And if so, we have some issues.
That also includes everything else that goes with the office, as in like the telephone, cable TV, and cleaning, the janitorial stuff. We're paying for toilet paper, we're paying for handhelds, and we're paying for that stuff for the office, and it's nowhere in, it's nowhere in the management contract.
So it needs to be put in the contract.
Yeah,
And so, I'm sorry, Katie, that was telephone.
It's
telephone.
pretty much everything.
All the office.
It's basically
Yeah.
anything that.
Everything
goes
that
in the
we
office.
use for all the staff on
Yeah,
CCMC
so
staff using.
telephone, cable TV, janitorial,
So everything that we do business with, Pretty much, if you're talking copiers, telephones, faxes,
Yeah.
it's all what we're using to run the business or period. We gotta find if there's a contract that's all in, all comprehensive, because
I've asked for it several times and I.
it may not exist. It may have all been gentleman's agreement somewhere along the way, or it's just something like a lot of things just grow.
Yeah.
Just natural course of growing.
That's all I have to know, so.
I think next is community mailings. Do we skip professional fees? Do we do that?
No, we're on that now. Yeah.
The CAI contribution to legislative action, and then COMM, what is that?
That's the Legislative Action Committee. It's their contribution to the Legislative Action Committee. This is a committee that exists within the CAI organization. Basically, there's a lobbyist that lobbies on behalf of HOAs in regards to litigation and law, and as the law changes. And so it's just a contribution that the association has felt was important to support.
So that's $3,000 a year that it's not a fee, so it's basically us donating $3,000 a year to CAI for legislative action.
That's correct.
But to which party?
Which is the path.
Which party?
Which party?
Yeah,
It's not.
There's no party. It's not
party
political.
affiliated.
It's just-
yeah, but it's lobby, you have to provide, it's almost like a pack.
It's like a
It's
path.
pack, it's
It's a
pack.
path.
So,
We need to get away
who are we donate the pack to?
I would say.
Why are we
myself,
donate the pack to, what is the benefit for the HOA for $3,000 that we spend on pack? To me, it's a pack, I mean,
It's a path. But they can't call it that because.
I know.
it's not, but yes, it's a pack.
It's really the pack.
So it's up to you guys.
I'd say we
I would recommend.
What are the benefits of it and can?
Well, that was kind of just what I said,
Yeah,
it's,
let's
they've got
find out.
the, lobbyists that lobbies on behalf of our industry to keep the laws on the side of the HOAs,
Well, we want to
At
do
one
that, and maybe we
particular
could
time, they-
lower it.
At one particular time, I don't recall the year, but they wanted to take away the authority for associations not to foreclose on property. And that was a big thing. And so they started lobbying to all community managers to reach their board members to go against removing that authority from the associations and their boards before closing on properties for homeowners that were not paying their assessments.
That hasn't been that long
Why
ago.
would associations have authority for equivalent homes?
If they're not paying their
Associations do.
assessments.
I think that was 2 years ago.
So,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
that
not
was
that
a very
long ago. I
long-
It
remember
was just,
that.
it was just,
so-
that was just,
So
yeah.
stuff like that, when it comes up, those are the people that are a part of the grassroots that are talking about, issues that could affect how associations run their business, where they're not able to go after homeowners for not paying assessments and things of that nature.
But I think-
Community of this size and I can't think of another word, but we're not prestige, but people know who Providence, we do need to keep a presence. Like something like that. Because you
But I
don't want
also-
those issues to come up again and they go down the checklist and Providence isn't there. We do need to do something, maybe we want to lower it or make one annual 2,000 or whatever.
I think,
I think we need to keep.
again, in those type of issues, every resident has the authority to vote. It's not just up to the legislature to change the law. I think, again, in fact, if those issues come up again, we all need to get our residents involved. If that subject brought up again.
Like a
I just think that's-
grassroots kind of thing.
Yeah, and then at that time, if we feel it's necessary, we need to put in more expenses, we need to have someone voice our concern, then we can do that, but I don't think we need to do every year to just put that $3,000 in there for the pack.
So the recommendation on the floor is to remove that, right, Katie?
Yeah, because. So basically, we're donating $3,000 a year to an organization in order to be able to foreclose on people's properties.
No,
No,
that's
no,
not That's
I
the
don't
issue.
know what she was
That's
saying.
how it sounds
No,
But
that's.
that
based
was
off
the
of what you
issue.
guys just said,
That's-
just so you know.
Pipeline doesn't do
No,
that.
that was
That
just
is
an
just
issue.
how it sounded as a homeowner.
She was,
I would have said, you guys.
That was
what?
example.
She was giving an
She's
example.
using
I know,
example.
but that's one of the things that's going through the legislation, and that's always, there's always talk about that, and I've heard stuff about that for years, and it goes back and forth all the time. Oh, so it sounds like, hey, Providence is donating $3,000 a year so that they can foreclose on my property legally if I don't do my
But that's,
assessments
but
in
that's
order
what
to
I
use
do,
a right to
and
do
that
that.
concerns me.
That is what I'm
Right.
saying, that's how it sounds.
That's
So-
not.
No.
Well, I didn't know
How
that
do you
was
know,
that.
so explain it differently.
So
She
that's-
gave an example, this
I
project.
know that was an
What's the
example, but
benefit of doing it?
Well, let's wrap it back in, you guys. I don't think we need to get too far out crazy about that. I think at the end of the day, do you guys want to take
We
it
both
out?
know it's
I
such a long
take that
time,
back
money.
on.
We both
hold on.
from Washington DC, we know about the past.
Are you good with taking it out too?
I'm okay. with
Marcia,
that.
you're good with taking it out?
I'd like to lower it.
Okay, but we've got the majority that wants to remove it,
Yeah,
so we're gonna go with
I'm
that.
in the minority.
Okay. Oh my God.
That's right, that's the DC coming out of me.
Right? I know.
Oh, sorry, guys.
I just got kicked out. Okay, so while trying to get back in, let's just keep this moving. I think we're down to community mailings.
So this is different than the newsletter, correct?
Yes,
Wow.
What was it?
It wasn't broken out last year, right?
It wasn't broken out last
Yeah, and I think it's broken out because everybody wants to know how much the newsletters are costing.
I think so, yeah.
And the newsletter is the Providence Post.
That's,
Okay, so let me ask this. $3,218 a year for quarterly inserts. Meeting notices, on the community mailings, it's listed under meeting notices twice, quarterly owner statements, meeting notices. I've never gotten a meeting notice that wasn't in the Providence Post. So what exactly are these inserts for? Because I've never gotten a meeting notice.
so it comes into play like in an instance where, let's say, for some reason, a board meeting gets rescheduled. And we would have to renotice the meeting, and we don't want to have to send out an entire, piece of paper. To do that, we would use a postcard instead.
Okay. So why is that different than mailing postage of 4,800? So every time you guys mail a letter, you guys charge us?
Wait, what do you?
So
And
mailing postage, it's budgeted for $4,800.
Oh, there it is. I see. Oh, what's your question again, Katie?
So so the mailing postage is different than in that situation where you just gave, where you have to renotice everybody, correct?
The mailing postage is that for invoice?
So mailing postage, is that every single time you send a letter to a homeowner, period, or on behalf of the association, you charge for that?
Yeah, I think that's separate.
Where is that price contracted in the listed in the management contract?
I didn't say it was.
Okay, so this is another section that I believe needs to be in the management contract, and some of them I believe are, I don't believe all of them are. It's, okay, so reimbursable administrative costs. Basically, it says association supplies, it doesn't say how much it doesn't have a price, but it says unit files, master files, storage boxes, coupon books, checks, envelopes, etc. But it doesn't list a price.
But the postage change, you don't always know.
Right.
So you can't really put a price on there, it's gonna be correspondence with the resident that you have to pay for it.
So for postage, it says at cost for mailing of notices, newsletters, etc. So how much does it cost to mail one issue of one Providence Post
An insert?
magazine?
Okay.
Anybody know?
No,
I have no
we don't
idea.
send it out from this office, Katie.
I'm sure those are all contract involved with the mailing company.
Yeah, that's part of, so the,
And then it's, we send them out as in the mail, not regular first class.
Okay,
And then that's why a lot of time when we get it, it's not always timely, because they don't pay for first class, that's cost a lot of money for first class.
Out of state or out of country homeowners that are
Yeah,
still
they have to
in
pay
price as
extra
well,
for
we
it.
have to pay extra for
Yeah,
that.
well, Canada specifically. But let me go back, again, do we need to do all these mailings? Is that necessary? Now we have text message now.
Yes, so I
So I
mean,
think something we probably want to talk about. I just think, I do like the email blast every Friday. I read every Friday that email message. Do we really need to continue spending? And I think I brought this up in the last year budget meeting. I just don't see the value of printing all this material, but then I was told a lot of this magazine was donated by people who could, advertisement, we didn't really pay a lot of money, but that's not
the
true.
plus.
That's
We have
the
the
That's a plus, and I know that post, I
The
know.
plus is the one that gets entirely paid for.
That's the-
But I still think that with the post, do we need, we could do it once a year with the annual budget instead of every quarter.
yeah, so.
I think we need to discuss about this.
No, that's fine. I mean, I will tell you, just with regard to NRS 116, there are certain things that we can't send out, that we have to go out via US mail.
It doesn't need to be in a fancy magazine. So a lot of the information she was talking about in the email is just, send your suggestions, and here's the Halloween contest, and stuff like that. That can stay in an email, that's not required, communication. But when you're talking about a board meeting, just, isn't it cheaper to just send it in a letter? As opposed to the design, colorful magazine just sending out.
From what I'm told, and I would have to get that cost breakdown, what that is, but I'm told that if you did the breakdown of sending out those letters for every meeting, which is every other month, and you had to do that all year long, it's actually a cost savings to do the post, as opposed to doing those mailings throughout the entire year. I would have to find out what that cost savings is and how that breakdown had come up with, but I remember that being said in a finance meeting back in March.
The question,
Yeah.
CCMC is in an office and we're stuffing those, right? You guys contract that out to another company to do that?
Print to order does that.
Okay.
Yeah, because.
So for the post, Katie, for the newsletter line item, that's the post and all inclusive, that's all in.
What,
So
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Because the first class piece of mail, it's more expensive. If you send them out, if you put them in one, if you send a scan the mail on those magazines. But I don't know how much you spend to print those magazines. It's so power. So maybe something we still require. Can we just do it almost like a newsletter, black and white, instead of doing the color printing? I know it's beautiful, but after when I read it, I still
Look.
hit the recycle.
I kind of think they're an advertisement for the management company and actually don't give us all that information that we like or that we need. That's kind of how I feel about them. I don't really like them. I would like to get rid of them, but I know that some people do like the magazines.
There's also not a voice for the Providence members to utilize the magazine.
Right.
So Providence homeowners can't submit an article that they would like the rest of everyone else to read. So that doesn't serve us. So if the post is gonna go out because you're required to notice the meeting notices, and meetings are only every other month, right? Right, okay, so looking at quarterly owner assessment statements and meeting notices, does that not go out to everybody? You're already doing that quarterly, so you only need to fill the holes for the other month.
And you
We're
can,
talking 2 months.
they're all,
Because they're off, aren't they?
well, yeah, and they're also scheduled way in advance. So you can say, you can legally mail out one letter at the beginning of the year and say, these are gonna be the meeting dates for the rest of the year. And then if they change, then you can send out a new one. But legally, you can send one at the beginning of the year and say, these are the meeting notices, these are the meeting dates for the rest of the year. Now, whether people aren't gonna remember them or not is a whole other issue, but legally you can do that and it would be costly.
And you can still do the email blasts. If you're not signed up for our emails, make sure to sign up, because we always are good about noticing for the coming up. I know that's not the official way you have to do it here, yes, but if someone loses that paper at the beginning of the year, and they want to know what their board meeting is, they really could just call, or they get the email blast, there are other avenues they can get it, but if you wanted to satisfy your legal obligation to notice homeowners, you could try that, I think I considered that.
And then also, we're kind of being charged twice for it, because for community mailings, we're being charged for $56,000 worth of mailings, and then the newsletter itself is $53,000. So-
For over $100,000 just in mailing stuff.
Yeah, you can combine a lot of that stuff and honestly get rid of the post, in my opinion, but
So I think what we're wondering is if the board can review eliminating the post, if they can offer a different solution, and that is one solution. Is that an idea that would be proposed to the board? Because that's $53,000 right there that the post is coming at.
Yeah.
I'm trying to summarize what we just talked about.
Well, can we also, when you said there's, and it's so hard to, it's almost impossible to pick out, because even you guys can't, what is legally that we have to send by USPS?
Mhm. So that's
Leave
all your
that.
meeting notices, your annual mailing, all of your election material. And those are really, the election material and your annual mailer are really, your two biggest
Okay,
expenses in terms of large mailings throughout the year.
so anything other than what is legally, we're legally bound to? Is that? Take a look at, and reduce sufficiently.
Well,
I don't think we should get, we have to leave, I'm sorry, what?
Or eliminate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, keep within what, because I know last time, or one of the times when we talked, there still are an awful lot of people, and again, that's not our problem, if you want to put it that way, but don't do email, don't do text. And
It's 2021. Get with the
yeah,
game.
I know, I mean, it's just,
you have to mail, if you have to mail certain notices to the address, the homeowner's mailing address of record that you have, unless they sign a form saying they want it in email or some other form.
right,
And then it's up to the homeowner, if their email changes, the homeowner would have to notify management. That doesn't happen, but, otherwise legally, everything's supposed to be mailed anyway. But spending over $100,000 a year in mailing is.
So you guys just need to be specific in what your recommendation is to the board, because I need to give them something
I'm a little
that's.
confused, Joe, do we want to totally do away with that magazine, is that what we're saying?
I would like to.
Axe
The
that?
only thing that's required to be communicated are the board meetings, correct? Is there anything else in there that has to be communicated that magazine is good for?
It's more warm and fuzzy, isn't it?
It's more,
Like, it's really an opinion thing. I mean, yes,
Yes.
it takes care of our board and meeting
There's no
notices,
one-
but some people love the content, some people could care less, some people toss it.
For that kind of
It's-
money,
I can't say to one side or the other.
I'm asking you, what is the legal communication that needs to still be sent out
Yeah.
by
The
mail?
notices and the
Just,
emails.
that's it, just the board
Meeting
meeting.
notices, your budget.
Well, that's like the annual.
And that's separate from the
That's your
post.
annual.
Yeah, that's separate from the post.
That's
We're
why I
just
just
talking about
mentioned
things in
the
the post that are
annual.
required.
One meeting just for the annual and then just the notice, that's it. The rest of it, get rid of it.
So basically what you're saying is, I mean, if I'm understanding, you guys want to ask them to get rid of the posts.
Yes.
Yes.
I recommend the board to review elimination of the post expense, post mailing. Also go back to the new owner welcome package,
yes,
$500 a month. How many people move in a month?
that's a lot a month, yeah.
That's $6,000 a year that we budgeted for.
How much is one packet?
I'm looking to see if it's contracted, because it should be.
I will tell you that Providence has a really good resale.
Okay.
So we definitely have a lot of turnover, and also because of the military presence here,
Okay.
people are moving in and out of the community. So we do have a lot of resales. Exactly how many, I could go, let me see if I can check
You
my
know what's in
attachment
the
report.
I can't even remember what's in my package, welcome package.
So it's pretty much your account, if there's any, your first account ledger, your account number,
Yeah.
information in regards to the association, SID and LID, to the contact for, your power, gas, water, information about the association. I can actually go pull it for you so you can feel it.
I have one.
So for instance, in August, we sent out 37 welcome packets.
Wow.
So if If
Whoa.
CCMG is going to charge us for that, it should be in the management contract, and I can't find that.
For the new owner welcome package?
Yes. Because if you're going to specifically charge us for something, it should be in the, I don't see it.
Do you guys want to add that to the thing that they should review to
Yes,
add
I
to
would
the
like that,
contract?
yes.
So the 37, those are all due to you already have a closing on the house. That's how you find out people moving.
How do I add it?
Like you say you send out 37, so that means
New
you
people
because the
coming.
closing.
So we pull a list of homeowners from the last time, and then anything,
Wow.
anybody that's new from that point. And so, and we usually average around that. I mean, it's, yeah, Providence has a great resale.
Yeah, that's a big
That's good to
tree.
know.
Oy, oy, oy.
Thank you.
Also, the design review committee application correspondence, what is that?
Can you speak to that?
Is that when you've done a bad thing and you told you?
Or is
No.
that when you send out approval letters?
No, I did all of that by email. Is there a reason why we can't do that solely by email? I just did the design review thing and I did it completely by email.
Yeah,
is
it
there
is,
reason-
it's typically through SmartList.
It's what,
So it's through SmartList. And you do, some homeowners that do not have, email, they do want the letter.
The physical
actually sent
stuff?
to-
Okay.
sent to them.
so is $200 a month accurate as far as how many applications come in and you communicating that way?
I mean, I don't have an average because I'm no longer over design review.
Well,
but
designer review
it-
is budgeted at 97, I think.
But it is, we
Oh, I'm
do
sorry.
get busy. It's very busy.
Okay, so
The
again,
violations are too much.
That's what I was looking at. I have a question about that. That's why my finger was there.
that should be contracted with CCMC. If they're gonna charge us for doing the update, that should be contracted. So I would like to add that to the list. Because I don't see it in the contract right now. And community standards violation notices,
Hold on.
Yeah, I have a question about that.
same thing. I don't see where it says that's $2,400 a year, and I don't see where it says that, what you guys are gonna
I'm
charge
sorry,
us
what was that?
For
For the violation notices,
community standards violation notices.
I was going to ask if who sees that? Who sees the violation notice before it gets mailed to the homeowner?
The director of operations, before it used to be the community standards manager.
Does he or she check to see if that's a valid violation? You know, because one of homeowner's biggest complaint is when you get a violation letter in the mail that's for this little fee sticking up. So I wondered, how did that process work? So
I actually
the director of operations said, seriously? Because that's postage. I mean, that's a whole lot of nonsense that wastes everybody's time. So do they check those and say, you know what, that's not worth it? Oh, a car sitting in the driveway for a month at a time, that should go out. He checks all of that?
So the inspector goes out, once the inspector comes back and uploads their information, they let that director of operations know, hey, I have my letters in queue, can you take a look at them? The director of operations goes in there, looks at them, and the ones that they deem are valid violations are then put to the print tab and printed out and mailed out to all
So
the
he
homeowners.
does go over them,
She
they're not
does.
just automatically
She
generated?
does, yes.
Side note too, I always tell people when something else, like when people get one lead, I tell them, if you have one lead and I see it and your neighbor has 20 and I see those, if I send your neighbor a letter for his 20 leads, I would send you one for your one. Even though if it's just.
You have to do
one.
equal
So you
enforcement.
have to do equal enforcement
Yeah.
all around.
So
So
I understand
even
that.
if it's something small, that's why I always tell people, well, I only have one lead and you sent me a letter. I'm sorry, if you want me to send your neighbor a letter for his 100 leads, I have to send you one for your one if I saw it. I saw it, so I'm sorry that you got a letter.
As a rule of thumb, just so you know, Providence, kinder, softer, the gentler, the sub-association should be more restrictive. However, when we do notice, whether it be one lead or 5 leads, we do still correspond with that homeowner. When I was director of operations, we started making phone calls to the new homeowners, letting them know, hey, this is what we noticed as, you know, when we were driving past your property, but as a new homeowner, we didn't want the welcome wagon to be, welcome to Providence, here's a courtesy note.
Right.
So we do look at those because we obviously want to ensure that we're not doing this selective enforcement and things of that nature.
Is that, well, one thing, management should be paying for it, that's one thing, but is that something that the board or management could just let sub-associations take care
We have a duty
We have a
for our
duty to
government
enforce.
documents to enforce.
of? All right,
What
then
is,
I want management to take care of it, I'm sorry.
yeah, I would like, okay, so the management contract just says postage at cost for mailing and notices, newsletters, et cetera. Postage right now is 55 cents, Stein was 55 cents per unit, if I remember correctly,
I don't
55,
know
50,
stuff.
something like that. So I understand the postage is listed on here, but all these different, you have mailing postage at 4,800, and then you have all these other postage. So I would actually like to have all of this contracted because it should be broken down a little bit more, in my opinion. I don't, what is stationery? Just
So stationery is the Providence letterhead.
So-
Supplies.
okay,
So Katie, are you recommending that everything under that,
yes,
from owner welcome packets all the way down to annual election candidacy ballots be included?
yes, because say you want to, say CMC wants to charge $1 for every piece of paper that they send out of the office. Oh, okay, if the board agrees to that, okay, but should list $1 on the management contract. Right now, it just says postage. You do have one item that says postage for $4,800, but the total for this whole section is $56,000. So if you want to charge $1 per letter that you send out, okay, but it should say $1 per letter for every letter that we send out of the office, instead of postage at cost for mailing, and then all of this stuff right here is not really, you have postage, but you have all these other subjects that,
Get a little bit free reign with the money that's
right, it doesn't,
ours.
Does everybody agree with putting community mailings to the board for inclusion in that contract?
Yes.
Sue?
yes. No, we said yes, but that was Katie, not you.
Got you. Marcia?
The only one
I-
thing I have issue with is the welcome for the new alternative. That's really not the CCMC, it's the HO8. I don't know, it's just some of these items are not part of CCMC, it's things that we wanted to do, not necessarily required.
See, that's how I feel
So
too.
that's gonna be difficult to say, do these on management agreement, and this one is the whole entire thing is basically say, no, we don't wanna do anything with the, unless we wanna charge you for whatever, I don't know, I'm just having a tough time. Because so many items that we're going to combine into one.
Well, let me give you an example. Most management contracts, if the association does coupon books, it should say in the management contract, we're gonna charge you such and such amount per coupon book. If we're due statements, it should say, we are gonna charge you such and such amount per statement. The CCMC management contract currently doesn't say any of that. And all of these items are things that CCMC is doing on behalf of Providence and mailing out on behalf of Providence. It doesn't say in the contract how much they're supposed to be charging us for. So again, if it's not a management contract, they can't charge us for it. So that's why all of these things, I would say we should go back and negotiate it.
We need some more background of all of this. We don't
Well,
know.
that's what the board needs to do. They need to say, how can we agree to this? How can we agree to that?
'Cause
And, like, walk us through that, and because she's pointing out that the management contract seems to have this blanket approval for all the money they're spending. And if they want to spend our money, they need to spell it out for us. Right now, it's just kind of this open-ended, we're gonna charge you for everything.
Well, my understanding, I mean, other than the line items that said we're saying we're actually taking out or removing, we're not saying we're taking out these line items and not spending the money. We're saying we would like the board to consider having them included in the management contract
I'll go with
as an
that.
addendum or something.
I just was going to blanket delete. No.
Right.
I'm not,
No.
One of the
because-
things is $1.60 per door is actually really cheap.
yeah,
But
it is.
the problem is that it's not just $1.60 per door. All these extra fees and stuff, it adds up to more than $1.60 per door. But a lot of management contracts are not all inclusive. They will say, this is your monthly rate, but then we're gonna charge you for all of these things. All of that stuff needs to be in the contract, it needs to be listed. If you don't list all those things, you can't charge for them, and Providence is not responsible for it. So we're starting to pay, we have been paying for a lot of stuff that has not been contracted out in the management contract. And I'm not saying that we should not pay for all this stuff. I'm just saying it needs to be spelled out, what exactly we're gonna be charged for what. And that all needs to be in the manager contract. Otherwise,
Or
It's-
explain the
it's-
cost.
we don't give them the authority to spend, based on what we agreed upon. Right now, we don't know, but a lot of this item is necessary, it's depending on how much they're gonna charge us.
They're doing
this
it
unit.
on our behalf, and that's what we have to consider, and that's what we don't know. I mean, a lot of stuff, no, it's not necessary, but again, they're doing it on our behalf, and that's where the fine line might be.
I understand what you're saying, but again, if you're gonna do something on our behalf and it's not spelled out what exactly we're gonna be charged for it.
It could be a blanket paragraph. They can't say, I mean, the way the
Yes.
economy is, you can't put a dollar amount on it. They can list it as an item that they can do on our behalf. But it's not, doesn't make sense to put, you can only charge the dollar amount. Things change too quickly. They'd be modifying that contract at least once a year. If you want to include it as an item of distinction, so CCMC is doing on our behalf, but I mean, they're here on our behalf.
Yes, I know, but we're also paying for a lot of stuff that is not
Mhm.
contracted and we're paying
That
for
we
a lot
don't
that's just
know,
more than
we don't
fees.
know.
Right, that's what I'm saying, we should go back and
We
find
don't
out.
That's
Yeah.
where right, that's where we stop.
And I
That's what I
still
think we
have
should
a
go back
hard
and
time with getting too much down to, we've got to remember they're here on our behalf. And that's where some of this is starting to worry me a little bit, but right now, we just need to take a look at what's really going on with the contract. How did this all start? You know, have there been revisions? Are there addendums somewhere that we don't know? You know, who signed the original contracts? There have to be signed copies somewhere, nothing's, it's all
Right.
void.
I might
So
have
we have to
one.
find out, but them just being here on our behalf sounds like they're doing us a favor, they're not.
No,
We're
no,
paying
that's
them.
not, that
So-
is not
so if
what
we're
I
gonna
meant.
have- I know, so if we're gonna have all these fees and dues and whatnot, we need to understand the contract better and have those things listed a little bit clearer, because right now it sounds like it's very blanket. It's a very blanket contract.
I don't
And that's a
disagree
problem
with
because it
that.
affects our budget. So, and that's what we're talking about tonight. So them being here for us and they do things for us, that's great, but we're paying them to do exactly that.
That may have been the agreement, that goes back to what we need to do. I think in this instance, though, almost, this is, all these little line items, this, and this, yes.
But it adds up to one
But
point
it
two
does,
million.
it adds up.
It does add up, but right now, we don't know what any of this is. I mean, it's almost sometimes too much TMI, okay? I mean, let's just take a look
So I'm
at
just,
it.
yeah, I'm
That's-
just looking at the
that's fine.
contract, the addendum, a contract addendum for the management contract. It's dated October 5th of 2011. And it talks about reimbursable administrative costs, association supplies, at cost for supplies utilized, unit files, master files, storage boxes, coupon books, checks, envelopes, etc.
Isn't that what you just read?
Yeah, I just read that.
That's pretty
It doesn't read.
open.
What, yeah, that doesn't.
That doesn't say much.
This is exhibit A of, I actually just asked for an updated copy like in March of this year, and this is what I believe Mary sent over to me. But this is dated 2006.
Would be the original.
So the prices for this exhibit have not been updated since 2006. So a lot of the stuff that we're paying for right now,
You said 2006?
yes.
That was pretty much the beginning,
Yep.
wasn't
We need to review that.
All right, can I just say, it's almost 6 o'clock, we're only 2 hours in, we still got a lot of items to discuss.
it? Yep.
We already agree that, let's not circle back, let's move on, please.
Yes. Okay. So back to the contract review.
Okay, so Katie, I believe so community mailings, again, we're going to ask the board to include that, have that included in the contract moving forward. Telephone, I think that was already mentioned as something that we wanted the board to have included.
Yes.
So can we skip over that one in terms of asking them to do that, or were you guys concerned with the
Just ask,
budgeting?
do we really need an alarm? Because this does.
I'm gonna say yes.
Yes.
Management contract should have that too, this is somewhere in my opinion, but, okay. Moving on.
Well, I've got that whole line is gonna go in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, moving down, social events, that was reduced from 240,136 to 128,820. So that came down quite a bit from last year. This was approved by the Social Lifestyle Committee. They reviewed this with the management liaison, and they all agreed that it was okay to put forward to the committee for review. So
I have questions about those. The social events that are listed, some of these are events in which only a very, 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 very small fraction of the community can, whether because they can't host everybody in the building, or you can only serve X amount of people for it. I don't think any of those that serve a very, very small fraction of the community should exist at all.
you need to point out which ones those are, please.
Okay, so paint nights. We're setting aside $5,000 for paint nights. Family game night on Zoom. That's $475. I'm assuming the attendance is limited because of what kind of activity it is. So St. Patrick's Day trivia night, Halloween trivia night, and photos with Santa. Those are all ones I believe should be eliminated from the social calendar. The rest of these I'm actually really impressed with because I know the community loves their events. But the rest of them, they're held at parks or whatnot, and they can accommodate most of the community. I want to leave those. And then the last thing I had a question on was the red, white, and brews. There was discussion on whether it's a good idea or not to be having alcohol at events just because of liability reasons. So it's not the event itself that bothers me, it's the alcohol available there. And we already have the Star Spangled Spectacular. So we've got two, like 4th of July social events, and Red, White, and Brews is a hefty event as far as cost at $14,825. And if I had to pick between the two, the Star Spangled Banner one is the one we keep. But I don't think we need two of those because they're both hefty prices.
What goes on at the red, I mean, other than what it means, what is it, just drinking? I mean,
It's like a food and beer walk.
It was great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I've
Enjoyed
never
it.
been
There's
to
no
one.
kids. I don't want anything to do with kids because I have no kids. To me, as adult living in this community, I want some event involved just adult only. I truly enjoyed it.
So is
But
it
I
just,
don't agree about the $7,000 donations. I think that's because I don't know why we have to spend because we pay
Wait, what?
$20-some a person to attend. It was
Really?
not a cheap event. I think it's $25.
And how many people?
I'm sorry, what did you say
Over
about the
200 people
donation?
show up.
What did you say about the donation?
We donated $7,000, so is that including the donation?
Yeah, we shouldn't be doing that.
So we donated 7,000 of the proceeds to, which I know is a good thing to do, but I just think that we need to cover our cost. So we pay, I want to say I paid $25 or $20 a person. There were over 200 people show up. Only 90 people sign up for it. We end up with 200 people. We ran out of food. We ended up having to get more food. But it was a great event because, like I said, for me, I don't want to have anything to do with kids because I don't have children. But this is a great event once a year that I'm really excited for a lot of adults together. A lot of my friends show up in the event from the community and we truly enjoyed it. It was a great event.
I would just like to point out though that, the fact that we're having socials where we're not including certain groups of people is not a good idea.
This is for adult event.
It was.
You
You
can't-
have a center event. I don't see other centers for that.
I've taken a fair housing class for my license and that would be a problem. If somebody ever filed a complaint with fair housing, fair housing.
Yeah, I think
Authority,
you're right.
yeah, I thought it was authority. Okay, if anybody ever filed a complaint, it would probably not go well for a province.
Yeah, but if you looked at all the stuff that's for the family and children. and
I
you
was
look
gonna
at
say, I mean, I
one
think the
event
community
for-
does a pretty good job of balancing it.
Okay.
But the family events don't exclude anybody. That's allowed.
So
You
it might be a
can't
family
exclude
event,
anybody.
but that would be-
I think we should just have the board, have a legal looking into it before we even say we don't, I don't wanna take them out.
But it's not just the no only, it's the alcohol that concerns me as well. I personally don't have a problem with people drinking alcohol, it's the HOA providing alcohol at an event. Aren't there liability concerns for that?
It's
I mean,
not HOA provided.
No,
Yeah, the
it's
associ- I don't think the
Right,
No,
association
it's
is.
the vendors provide that?
It's the
Okay,
traffic,
okay.
it's not HOA.
I did not, that's why I'm asking.
I was there.
Okay, that's what I'm.
So now we have two large 4th of July events going on.
That's in May though.
We've got the Star Spangled Spectacular and we're not talking about just another, $1,000 event that we can put on for some adults. It's $14,825 and you're excluding people.
That's in May.
That's up to the committee. because
And
I don't think
I'm
that,
gonna go back and look at that. I think we are caught spending that much because we donated $7,000.
and that should not be happening
So
either.
if we would have taken down that $7,000, I don't think, because they charge us a lot of money for that event, we didn't have free. So it was not cheap. So, and you have over 200 people show up for that event. So a lot of residents would like to attend. And I would say, stay on there, we'll check with the legal, based on what Katie said, to see if we have an event that we could not exclude, because normally when you have alcohol served, it's always say 21 and above. It's like when you go to any, when you go to club, you say 21 above. Do they file a complaint because you don't include anybody underage?
I will definitely check,
If you check on that and lower the 7, take out the donation
Yeah,
and just lower the cost, keep there is the item, because again, there's gotta be a way to work around it with the disclaimer of 21 years of age or whatever, there has to be a way to work around that.
And typically the problem is that it's our assessments that are paying for it. And
But
if you
not
are
if
using our
you're-
assessments to pay for a social event that I can't bring certain members of my family to, that creates the problem.
now, for that 200 people, I will tell you for that event was very well received. That's my opinion.
So I think we should find out if we can legally do it or not. because
I definitely have that written down. Also, to say no donations,
Yeah,
right, with
no
that
Why
one?
don't you eliminate donations and see if it's legal? If
Yeah.
we are doing anything that is not within the guidelines.
I
of
will
laws.
check on that for Red Lights and Brews. Now, the other recommendation on the table from Lori is to take out the paint nights, the game nights, the trivia nights, and the photos with Santa. Those, I will just say that those are all very popular events.
Because you can only have 80 people.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just letting you know that those are well-attended and popular
You
events.
cannot say it's a popular event and only 80 people can attend, even if they pay for it. You're using my association, you can pay for an event that only 80 people can attend. That's too small of a fraction of events to be hosting at all, and it needs to be eliminated at all. I don't care how popular it is, because you can't.
It's okay. You don't have to care. I was just letting them know.
Well,
I'm just letting everybody
Only
know.
80 people can do it.
I'm just
So
saying.
can I just ask a question though?
Yeah.
The pin light, it costs $2,500.
That's
Whoa, what do we,
Yeah.
For how many people?
Twice.
what do we do there? What's the?
For which, I'm sorry, which event is it?
For the paint
Paint
night.
The pay night is
Pin night,
$2,500.
$2,500 for how many people?
What?
I think with that one, recently, we've been doing it via Zoom. So I want to say it's like up to maybe 50 or 60 people.
60 people, but where are we, they still pay for it, all right?
They do. I think they pay a portion of it and then the association covers a portion of it is what I,
That
yeah.
needs to go. The paint nights, the family game nights, the trivia nights, and the Santa.
Can I make a recommendation?
And
Instead
what's the
of
last
people
one?
still enjoy it, instead of get rid of it, why don't we charge the fee that they pay for the whole thing?
So
And
it
to
can't
see
be
people,
Then it wouldn't be in the
so it
budget.
would be, we
Right.
won't have to charge, but don't cancel the event. Just because you don't enjoy it, But other people might enjoy it, I wanna
I
pay for it.
I didn't say I didn't.
But
enjoy it.
even you don't wanna pay for it, but let them pay for it, maybe they wanna pay for
So
it.
then that
Okay,
would be
do
the-
that.
I know, so
It
don't
should
just
be.
take them out.
It
It
should be,
still needs
because
to
we
be,
weren't gonna pay for it and then have it be reimbursed.
it's reimbursed, but we still need to include it in here, but
But it
this,
shouldn't, it's.
It's
zero
zero,
wash out.
exactly.
If it's zero, you should, they would wash out.
you're gonna collect revenue for the event, and then you're gonna have expenses.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, and if that committee wants to do it, then they
exactly,
can go ahead and do it, but
exactly,
it's
so
up
why
to you,
take,
the attendant, to pay. We won't pay for it. If you want to have it paid,
you're gonna have
you
income
have it.
and
Just
you're gonna
don't-
have, expenses just to watch them out.
That's,
I'm
I
upset
just,
about that, because I don't think the association should be setting.
we already told you, I told you already,
You're
so
correct.
that is my recommendation.
I'll go with that. You're right, association shouldn't for a small amount, but if they want to have it, not
They
gonna allow.
gotta, they gotta pay at full cost.
That's right.
Okay.
I mean, we're not saying you can't have it. You can have it,
Right, I agree with that.
but cough it up. And
What,
I do have, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, what goes into the community yard sale? It's 25.
That was my question.
Okay,
What,
$2,500.
what do we do with
Signage
that?
and advertising.
So
But
what do you
got
guys,
this last month?
where do you guys advertise?
So it was posted on the Review Journal.
Yeah, it was.
And we do that every,
Yes,
we
it
do that
was.
every
It
year.
was.
That's $75.
No, it's quite a bit more than that.
What?
Why?
So how much is it?
Because when I do it, it's $75.
Depends how big of an ad you place, where you place it.
True.
It's awful.
Yeah.
True, that's why I'm asking why is it so
But
precise?
the community yard sale was very low, advertised this year, wasn't it? I mean, residents were left up to themselves to make maps. They did it all on their own, and it was very successful, so I'm just curious what money actually really needs to be set aside. All the community needs is a set aside day to do it, just tell them what it is, and we can take it from there.
I will tell you, I'm not part of the social committee. You know, I'm not exactly sure what that breakdown looks like. That is what they came up with along with the management liaison that would cover the costs of that.
Okay.
If you guys want that breakdown, I could certainly get it. for you.
Typically, if you have an HOA yard sale, you do pay for the advertisement and signs. But I'm just curious as to why it's $2,500, because that's, like I said, when I do it, it's, we advertise on Craigslist for free, and then we do it with, Las Vegas Review Journal. And that's $75, but I'm guessing you guys get a bigger ad, but what exactly is the breakdown? of that? 'Cause
Let's
that's
take
kind
a
of,
look at the reduction of that.
Yeah.
I have a question about the food truck. We have the truck Tuesday. We have to pay them for 400.
That's,
What are
that's
we paying?
permits, correct?
Correct.
Oh, what?
Permits,
Oh,
we have to pay for the permits for them to be out here. And then, yep, but then the inspector actually comes out to verify that they're actually up to code, whatever, that they need to do in order to.
Can we get
No, we actually,
reimbursement on the truck?
we do.
Okay,
They
okay.
actually, the trucks pay us to
Okay.
actually be here.
So that $400 will be washed
It's a
off.
wash.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I need to know.
What's the difference
Thank you.
between truck and Tuesday and food truck roundup?
Yeah, what
I
is
love them
that?
both, I just don't know what they are. What's the food truck roundup?
You know, since I've been at Providence, I don't know that we've had a food truck roundup because we keep having the trucking Tuesdays because of COVID. I think we were, just trying to, engage the residents some
I
more.
can remember
Do
a
you know
couple
what
years
it's
ago,
food
there
truck
was a
roundup?
food truck roundup. I can remember that, but I can't.
I mean, I would have to guess like Truckin' Tuesdays, we've got maybe like two trucks at each park location.
No,
Maybe
this
food
was
truck roundup
literally-
is like a ton of.
It
It's very
was,
packed
was,
out.
yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of
Yes, it
events that
was.
do that. It's
I
a very
could-
popular event actually.
I can just remember, we didn't go, but I can
But
remember
we
the
will get
roundup.
reimbursement for that.
Mm.
Okay,
It's not $400 per truck, correct? That's just $400 to have them be on the lot and travel many trucks you
Give
can
them
fit on the
that,
lot.
right, the license.
Well, that's awesome. I know Truck Tuesday is super popular, so I'm just wondering what food truck roundup is.
yeah, those are the food truck event. It's very, very popular. A lot
Oh,
of,
yeah.
I mean, I done attend convention, we done that before, so.
Okay. For me, and
Can we move forward past the social events now?
yep.
Okay.
Run mileage.
Thank you.
Can't get it to move, it's all good. Anything for mileage, you guys?
for what
And we really don't use it. I think it would be for staff if we have to go someplace or whatever, but realistically, it's Tasha and I, we never.
I would honestly say you guys could remove that easily.
Really?
Yeah.
It is in the contract.
Okay, just like that. I was just.
That's the one thing in the contract.
If it's their own personal vehicle, we have to pay mileage for it. Is that what that?
Correct.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
In the event.
It's a requirement.
The one thing we said, take out, what's in the contract? Jeez.
Go figure.
Okay, let's go to holiday decorations.
Okay.
Okay, this one concerns me only because I don't understand the breakdown. So I know there's the July, 4th of July decor and the holiday decor, but I keep being told that some of that is for replacement. So how much is for replacement and how much is for the decor?
So there's no real way to break it out because I think when they budgeted for it, they budgeted for whatever the cost of the service is, and maybe it was padded at the time a little bit for if they had to do any repairs or replacement, but there's no real breakout for that. We pay basically the same thing, and if something needs to be replaced at that time, then they go ahead and they submit for replacement. It's not a breakout. I spoke to Larry about it to ask him because, you know, this was something that just sort of carries over from year to year. And he's like, there's no specific budget line. We're just letting them know, like, we do the holiday decorations, and this cost will also include if there's repairs or replacements needed.
How about an
It just seems like
and/or?
that should be,
How
I
about,
think it should be separated. If you're gonna pay them to decor, you already have, I don't even know what you do, the ribbons around the posts and flags for 4th of July, like, you know, all that's gonna go up. You say, okay, we're gonna need some repairs, but we set aside 2,000 for it. Like, shouldn't that be like a different line item for just?
how about
repairs?
adding some verbiage, either an and/or replacement for the decorations and/or replacement, comma, if necessary? Yeah, how about if we just change the wording on it? Because to put $1, we're not gonna, I mean, that's
Well, the vendor, we paid a vendor to come out and.
correct, we did.
Right?
Okay.
So should we
Sure.
know ahead of time what they are going to charge this year for 4th of July?
Then just take out
We know what that
replacement
is.
totally then.
I think
Take out the
you just
verbiage.
projected, normally what we do is you project it based on if you're gonna do the same thing. Either go with 5 or 10% increase on your last year expenditure. That's what you do for budget.
I will tell you that based
Budget
on,
for a large amount, that's what you do for budget.
yeah.
So
Okay,
you don't go out right now to contract in July. By the way, how much you gonna charge me? You don't do that.
Well,
You
so
do that based on what you spent last year, unless you wanna make something change. If you don't, you use based on what CPI index, and then you kind of add 5% or 10% into your budget, planning for the next year expenditure.
So we didn't do
Yeah.
4th of July
We got
last
bids
year.
from,
The year before, did we spend all $50,000 to do decor?
You can look at last year,
I don't have that.
2015,
We
it's,
have that.
it's right here.
I'm sorry, what was the
What
question?
was 4th of July decor in 2019? We didn't do it this year, right? We didn't do it this year.
Didn't we do,
I got
We
it.
did.
We
I
did.
said we spent
Didn't we
70, was
Police
70,000
is
dollars?
looking it up.
70, I'm sorry, what?
I thought we spent $70,000.
70,000?
On decor.
I think, not for the full, for the whole entire
For the whole
49
year?
event. I
That's-
think.
That
Oh,
is-
including
that's-
fireworks
It's
and all
only
that?
two, because we do it for 4th of July and then we do it for, the one.
Oh,
for
okay.
Wonder
So,
Woman.
yeah,
right,
Right, but that, our total budget is 41.5, so how did we spend 70?
no, I'm just saying, I say for the whole entire event.
No,
for the
Let Felicia
4th of
look it
July
up, yeah.
event.
She'll have the number.
Probably 70 for the social.
I'm just using for my head to remember.
Social and the decorations. together. That's what I'm guessing.
yeah, that's my, with the fireworks.
Oh, the stuff thing with the.
Yes.
calendar.
Yeah, plus the
You put that,
decorations.
yeah, I had, didn't have the right name,
You lost me there.
yeah, then you come up.
I know.
I know you are lost.
How can I help her?
That was 46.5 for the stuff thing. Okay.
Yeah, there's your 70 pretty close to.
I actually have a question on the November ones when you guys get a chance to listen.
On the November ones?
Yeah, okay, so it's $26,000 for decorations for, I'm guessing, the holidays for December.
Right,
What companies did that? Because I read in,
First Choice Tree Service.
it was, so they're charging $15,000 to put up decorations,
No.
choice tree service.
No, they're charging 26.5. That's.
So, well, the contract, there was a contract there was an amount that I saw on some minutes, I believe in January. I can't remember if it was this year or last year.
Mhm.
And Choice Tree Service was charging $15,000 just to put lights on the trees. Choice Tree Service is not a holiday decoration company. They are a tree company. They deal with removing and putting in trees and like maintenance of trees. So I'm just wondering why we're using Choice Tree Service, which is a tree company, to put up holiday decorations for $15,000. Is it because they have the boom lights, the things that
Equipment needed to, part of it, yes. And I don't think, and I don't know, Katie, I don't know how many associations you manage, but I'm sure you're familiar with this. I know a lot of landscapers will have it contracted where they actually do the holiday decorating as well for associations. Ours does not.
right?
And so First Choice Tree Service offers that as a service. Yes, they're a tree company, that's what they mainly do, but they
Right.
also offer this service in
Because when
addition.
I saw it was $15,000 and then I went around the community to look at how many trees actually have lights on them. Yeah.
But is that not everything?
You know how
Cherry
much,
picker
you know
and
how much
that?
Franklin
That's
Park paid
money.
for? Our Franklin Park, just for few trees, and the front door gate, $2,400.
You guys should just do that yourselves.
I'm not doing it myself, but that's how much they cost. I cannot believe it. Last year, we spent $2,400. So look at here, we have 29 communities, plus all the common area. It looks
So-
beautiful for the
I don't-
holidays.
yeah, I don't
They're
think
not doing
that's
the
a
entrance
lot.
install at communities though, right?
No,
They're
they're
just doing-
not.
They're just doing.
But I'm just saying, even
They're doing
including
the corners, like the major
the corner,
corners.
and then also you look at the men's area. Us, just a little tiny few lights, it was $2,400.
For as big as we are, I don't think that's a lot.
Has that ever been bid out to other companies? Or did they just go with Choice Tree Service because Choice Tree Service offered
So
to do
it was bid, I believe, in 2018 or 17, they had holiday lights or something like that, and they moved away from holiday lights to First Choice Tree Service. So that's the company that they've been utilizing.
A lot of money. And I honestly, I think they're charging it because they, not that it actually is $15,000 worth of work, but that's,
I personally like the lights. I don't have anything against lights. It's just, can we make sure we're doing it in the most cost effective way? If it's something we can research, bid, whatnot, make sure that we're not spending too much money for a service.
and are they just doing the trees or are they doing all of the lights? They're just doing the trees, right?
They're not
Lights and
just doing the
trees?
trees.
No, they're
Not
doing all
just
the
doing
lights.
trees, they're doing all
They're
the
doing the
lights.
lights,
Yeah, they're
the lights
doing
on all
all-
the icon corners. We have
They're hanging wreaths
We have
and-
wreaths that are
Promenade, I
going
watched
on.
them last year, the promenade alone, trying to wrap around that big circle of tree, because I walk every door, every morning. Trying to wrap around that tree, it is very labor intense. It's just the promenade alone, and then they have the, around all the,
The arches.
I've actually
Arches.
watched landscapers wrap a tree like
It's
right
not
outside my
that
office
easy.
before, and it is very
It's
labor
Very
intensive.
intense. That's why I am not
It
out
is,
here,
but-
my communities.
I mean, it's definitely something
I
that the
think
board
they
can
should
look
bid it
into
out,
going
yeah,
out to
because
bid for, you know.
That's
Can we just check?
a lot of money.
And the biggest increase, I assume, just make sure I'm on the same page, that's between $15,000 for July and the 26,500 in December is because lights in December.
Because
In
there's
July,
more, there's
just-
more
Just
decorating.
decor with
Correct.
flags and stuff.
That's right.
So that's just, I think all we talked about here was just sit after, get a bid, maybe go out for bids for that. But the 15, I don't think is bad at all with the work that needs done.
Compared to Providence, the Franklin Park zone.
So moving down to private rental expense, ladies, anything on that?
We provide foods and beverages for private rentals.
No,
What is that?
It says in the narrative comments, snacks, beverages, and miscellaneous support for private rentals.
that should be for the sub association, but not for private.
Yeah, I think that's
Because-
just me
That's it, yeah.
not taking out the verbiage and redoing it the proper
Redo
way.
that
But
verbiage.
for-
I will.
but for
Sorry,
private
guys.
rentals, I mean, if somebody's having like a baby shower, they're whatever, if they bring all of their stuff.
Okay.
If there's alcohol, then they have to have their insurance and all that kind of stuff in order to allow it to be on site.
I'll
So there's no
update
private
the
rental
narrative.
expenses? Okay,
Verbiage
It's all
mistake.
income, that's all
Okay.
income for the association.
take out that other.
Okay, you're right back to decorations. In May, the association paid $3,325. In July 16th, the association paid $12,375. And that included the removal as well as the $750 for storage. Because we do have roofs and stuff like that, that is with First Choice. But in talking with the director of operations, all of that stuff we're requesting to be moved or given back to us because we have storage here that we're gonna be utilizing. So that's gonna be a saving, moving forward.
We forgot the undo. I mean, they have to do,
That's included in
and
there.
we forgot
Did
the
you say
undo,
December is my
and that's worse.
number as well, did I just say that? Oh, okay, just to.
May and July.
So then community outreach, Katie?
Yes, I'm very committed on this.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with the sub-association block party because,
At their own money.
that's Providence giving money to its sub-association, so that's not community outreach. I think that should be with something else, but everything else, we should not be donating assessment, the homeowner's assessments to, because for many reasons I can get into, I can go on and talk about this for hours, but what do you guys feel about it? Because it's,
Yeah, I agree with the annual block party should not be part, because it's part of Providence, should not be a community outreach.
That should be.
It's not need to be on a different line item. I also agree, this was one of the discussions, especially with the fee increase about community outreach, the money we need to tighten up. I just don't think we need to donate money to those schools and also to the association, whatever the TOPS is.
So just so you guys know, TOPS can be removed. The board made a decision to not move forward with that program.
Okay.
So we can remove that as well.
That's a
Okay,
good
good.
one.
So we'll
So the
remove
other
TOPS. So,
page.
okay, so let me, the recommendation on the floor is to remove TOPS and to remove all of the schools
Yep.
from the
I
donation.
think we just need to eliminate the community outreach.
Yes.
right, there
Yes.
should be no donations of our homeowner assessments to.
Not even sub-associations?
No, that's really
Yeah,
a
that, I would
That's not
say
a
that should
community
be,
outreach.
yeah, that could be like social.
That is,
because
yeah.
that
that's
is-
the social,
Yeah,
Okay, give me a second, guys.
Let's see where it is social, where it should go, or
or is there a better one?
that's what I was looking to see if there was.
I think it should go to the social, because not every community uses it also. I know
Yeah,
that.
that's, yeah,
Social.
that's what I was thinking it should be. Yeah.
Outreach.
Just do away with that category,
Yep.
totally. That social's the best from what we have.
So move to social.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
And does that, let me see. Community outreach, web hosting and, newsletter, we've already decided to take the post out, so I've already made that note. And that will be the newsletter line item. And then did anybody have anything on web hosting?
I had asked you for the breakdown of, the website, and that's costing us $9,000, and the breakdown you gave me was $2,100. So
2193.
where did that go?
So it's quarterly?
It's a quarterly bill for 2193 times.
It's quarterly?
Mhm.
Is that in addition to everything that's on here, or is that just, that's everything on this breakdown right here?
Where are we at?
What are web fees
Web
at
hosting?
$1,000?
Sorry,
Because the total for one fees is $21,000,
Mhm.
so are you looking at something else that we're looking at?
So
Tasha sent me
the
this.
top, the top one, I think she broke it down by month, for that 2193 we paid 2193 per quarter.
Okay, she took it on.
So she took it on a
divided by 12.
month and amortized it over the 12 months.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
Smartphone app, public stuff, that's the Providence Recorder app, which is managed by Excella. And that is $5,564. We pay that one time.
So that item, I know I use when I walk to report.
Yes, I used it too.
How many people are actually using that reporter app?
So I just did the analytics for that. There are since 2000, hold on, let me get that up.
speaking of which, I sent in the report, fees on Eden Crest and Farm,
mhm.
the,
Which corner?
okay, where am I at?
North?
The northwest corner, like all along that sidewalk. Okay. There's hundreds of them.
As of today,
3,000 homeowners have downloaded the confidential program.
Yeah, but on the
I'm gonna
reporting, you
use
get
these stuff.
notification when I report it.
Uh-huh.
How many people report, how many people use it?
I looked the other day, because I was looking for, actually, and I'll ask to say, but there was a poor little kitty cat that could be lost, so God knows we couldn't take another one in. But I couldn't find just the postings for pets, in case somebody reported a little guy missing.
But it's,
And I got into that one by mistake. And there hasn't been postings in that one for quite a while, except for Chew and me.
See, I report a lot, like
You
last
do,
2 years,
yeah.
me and I report almost every day, just leakage.
I get those emails. I get reporter
Let's see
emails
how
all
many
day.
you get. You are getting
Oh, okay.
emails.
I get the emails every time somebody
Okay.
reports,
Right,
yes.
It
so
is
how many
being
are you
used.
getting though?
Okay.
A
Oh
week?
my gosh, you guys, a day, I probably get like 20, at least
No, I
20.
haven't
well, then
reported
it's
for a
being
while,
used
because I haven't
then.
seen any leakage. Last 2 years, I filmed, I take picture almost every day.
And we get an update, like if you get in there and you update something that you've already input, I get to see that right
Yes,
away.
I can tell you that it's a whole lot.
It's okay, good, all right.
It's a lot.
As long as we are using that.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I just saw my
Now I
own.
just think
I
we
must
don't
just saw my
wanna
own.
keep the, like,
Yeah,
we
and-
have a usage, that's
Yeah,
right.
and I've already provided those analytics to the board because we are in a renewal, so they are looking at that. I do know that with some of, the Providence Reporter app, the people that have like iPhones, the iOS users, there is a glitch, and so it's not working properly. Sometimes when people try to, notify us in regards to things, the system crashes. So I am working with the developer
Okay.
in order to get that taken
I
care
haven't
of.
had any issue with it when I report it, but I just wanna make sure we are using it.
Yeah. People do
Okay.
definitely use it, and it was more so utilized, with courtesy patrol, but since we moved from the Vision, we moved from the Providence Reporter out to the Vision, so that we kept it separate.
Okay.
It's still even out as far as the
Okay,
amount of
that's
reports
good.
that we're getting.
Hey, Felicia, I have a question on the Club Essential website, when you said she broke it down. Do we bill that, is that billed once annually? Or is
No.
it billed in increments
It's
of a
built
month?
in increments when we get the invoice.
Okay, because I was gonna say, if it's annually, let's put it in the month, because that will eliminate
Yeah, no,
variances,
it would've been-
and then we have problems with.
Yeah, it
the
would have been
financials. Okay.
how the traditions card is, just the annual, the month that we get it.
Okay,
If you see that 5,300 in that July mark, it would have been just like that,
okay,
but this one is amortized over the 12 months.
just as long as we get, so if not, we're gonna run, like I said, the
Exactly.
variance, and then that's a whole different.
How about the new text message? Where is that line item being charged?
The text message is actually free because it's through Club Essential. It's not something that we have to pay for.
Good.
Can I ask what the traditions card is? Like, what is it we're paying for the tradition card? I know what it is, but what are we paying for that? What service is that offering?
So the service for the traditions card is the actual website where the traditions card information is held. It's not held through Club Essential. It's called, Yellow Dog or something like that. So it's a separate subscription that we would have to pay for the traditions card. And that's, I think, $53.
Know that I'll use it.
I actually don't have one. Every time I log into the website, I get logged out, so.
I can send you your traditions card tomorrow.
Okay.
I never have any problem.
As a matter of fact, I'll do it right now.
Okay, perfect, thank
I
you.
don't know if I have one or not.
Well, that's a personal one. Let's just get-
Oh, thank God,
Alright.
okay. Okay, cool. Can we move on to contract services?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Just to keep in mind, it's a little after 6. It's like 20 after 6.
All right.
So the first one is the cable TV. It stays the same.
That was on my list of things that I would say that management should have an agreement with the contract.
Does everybody agree with that?
Sure.
Lauren?
Because I haven't even, one of the things is I can't find where it says we're responsible for paying for that, so I would just like some clarification. Where the management contract, it says that.
Okay. So I've added that to the list of things that we should have them include in the management contract moving forward. Cleaning and janitorial. I bumped this down a little bit from last year. Just in looking at the actuals, you know, from prior years and such. I don't expect there'll be much change.
The one comment I make is, again, where the management contract is say we're responsible for cleaning the office and stuff like that, stuff like carpet cleaning and all that good stuff. I think should be an annual contract. Or where is something should say that we're responsible for cleaning it, or responsible for doing such and such on such and such basis.
Then you're not part of the lease agreement?
Well, no, because the lease agreement doesn't have anything to do with the maintenance. We're responsible for all the maintenance and repair, or at least rather the association is. It's a, I mean, I definitely can add that to the list if everybody so chooses. Yes.
And is there anything in this that's not having to do with these two offices? Is any of this for the parks?
Yes,
Which part is for the parks?
the janitorial. Is that what we're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah,
about?
cleaning and
Oh,
janitorial,
Yeah, the
0605.
park cleaning is not
So-
part of that.
It is. We-
Yeah, it's in the here, but
It's
it's
in
the same.
Park cleaning 2 times a week, yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I personally would like to see two separate, I would like to see cleaning janitorial for the office, cleaning janitorial for the parks, because to me, they're two completely different things. Because park cleaning is a park expense, and it's, in my mind, it's a landscape expense, but I'm not entirely set on that. I can be swayed on that.
Yeah, well, because I think, to your point, Katie, there are landscape companies that also will do
Right.
that type of stuff.
Right.
In our case, that is not how it is, but
Okay.
we actually have a janitorial company separate that does that.
Because when I do my financials and we have park, landscape contracted amount, then we have the repairs, then we have like the bathrooms in the park is a whole separate thing. And then, so that's kind of how I would like to see it, because when you look, it's hard to distinguish what exactly it is that we're paying for, like what services. I mean, cleaning janitorial, yes, is cleaning janitorial, but what exactly is being cleaned and where is it being cleaned and all that stuff. I would like to see all that stuff separated out, like do the park cleaning janitorial and then the office cleaning janitorial.
Could we not move it down to park maintenance in its own separate line item so that it is distinguishable that way?
I would like to do it that way. I actually have a suggestion for park maintenance and landscaping. But I would like to move the cleaning to, or just separate park cleaning and office cleaning,
Yeah, I think that should be separate.
Yeah.
or building cleaning, or,
Yeah.
because I don't think there's any buildings other than these two here. But
What's power washing? Power wash what?
So,
$500
the parking lot in the park get power washed.
okay, so I would say move that too.
That should be
With park
also, should be in
cleanings.
the park.
So it's power washing, park cleanings. If we could move those down to park maintenance, is that,
I think that should be a much better clear item.
that would,
Because that will not be part of management
exactly.
contract if you want to.
Sorry, you guys, I'm terrible at writing and listening at the same time. So
So
which
Power
items are we
cleaning
talking about?
and
Park
Power
cleaning?
cleaning and park.
Power washing?
Power washing, and, yeah.
Okay, so power washing and park cleaning move to park maintenance
Yes.
Yes.
instead of park
Instead
cleaning
of-
being its own thing.
Well,
No, it can be on the line item, it just needs to be moved into park maintenance.
Well, yeah, but that,
I have. a
That doesn't
suggestion
make-
for
that doesn't make it its own
maintenance
GL then.
Once we get to
Oh,
it,
sorry.
but I kind of would like to see its own thing. Because.
the park cleaning, that's what I have written
Because the
down.
park cleaning, I'm guessing it's a contracted amount, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You have a contract, it's contracted amount, it's not gonna change the entire, so I would like to see that, and it's separate.
206. Okay, so are we all good with moving the park cleaning out to its own separate GL?
I would like it that way, yes.
I'm fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's perfect. And then we're gonna move power washing down to park maintenance as its own breakout. Is that what you guys were wanting?
I would say that, well,
I think the two of them,
I think the two of them can be together.
yeah, since they both relate to park, so.
So you want power washing in the same GL as park
Well-
cleaning?
Okay, I have a suggestion for park maintenance. So should I make it now or should I?
Does it overlap this?
It kind of, I mean, it would involve this. It was.
Sure, sure.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so the way that park maintenance is right now, every time you look at it, you can't tell, because there's park maintenance and there's landscape maintenance. And the park maintenance, of course, is the parks, and then the landscape maintenance is.
All the common areas that
common
are not the
areas.
parks.
And one of the questions I have every month is why is the amounts different every month? Because there's a contracted amount for the parks. So what I would suggest is have park maintenance and have the Promenade Park landscaping maintenance, the contract amount, the Knickerbocker Park landscape maintenance contract amount, and the Huckleberry Park landscaping contract amount. That just, those three items be its own thing. And then do park repairs, so the Promenade Park repairs, the trash can cleaning, Knickerbocker Park baseball field, the nature trail refresh, and the trash can cleaning, and then Huckleberry Park trash can cleaning and the nature trail refresh, those be its own category.
So general repairs and can cleaning.
Yes,
Okay, so hold on, the park maintenance, I feel like should include the Knickerbocker Park baseball field.
okay,
Is that cool?
yep. Is that a contracted amount that every month doesn't change, or do they?
For the.
It's included
in the
in,
price.
in the price.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, so general repairs and trash can cleaning under park maintenance would all be their own separate thing.
I would say that would be park repairs. And put those categories in between. And then,
Hold on.
okay,
Sorry.
It's
But
okay.
trash can cleaning to be car repair,
yes,
what would be charged?
Maintenance.
That should be a maintenance, how can that be a general repair? That is
That's
a maintenance.
maintenance.
You have to do it every month to clean them.
Yeah.
I
you
think
could
that
put
should
that in
be,
maintenance, yeah, you could put
that
that in
should be in the
maintenance.
maintenance.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking just the landscape contract alone, that just does the landscape should be its own, but we could do trash can. Since that is
That's-
contracted,
That's
that's
something you
not
have to
changing.
do, it's part of the maintenance.
You could put that in there.
Okay, so say it again, I'm sorry.
Okay, so the Promenade Park landscape maintenance and the trash can cleaning.
Okay,
The Knickerbocker Park landscape maintenance and the trash cleaning. And then the Huckleberry Park landscape maintenance, the baseball field, and the trash cleaning be its own category.
so. And we're gonna call that, is that,
Park
gonna-
maintenance.
it's just gonna be the same as
Park
park
maintenance,
maintenance?
yeah.
Okay.
But it has a separate like line item for each park.
And
Right,
then the trail refresh, for Knickerbocker Park, Huckleberry Park, be its own thing.
is that included, Fee? The trail refresh, I feel like that's part of the contract.
It's only twice a year.
The nature trail and Knickerbocker, that's a part of the, that's not anything. separate.
It's not, yeah, it's not a separate charge in the contract.
You wanted to take them out.
Then why don't we put twice a year for twice because they only do it twice a year?
Yeah, because they're only doing it twice a year, so it is part of the contracted amount?
It is.
It's part of the contract.
They should be
Then we
eliminated,
need to
shouldn't it?
include them in the
Okay.
maintenance.
The problem is that every single month, all of these numbers are changing. It's very confusing to figure out what exactly we're paying for each month. So if you have contracted amounts, it doesn't make sense why January is 30,000 and then February is 25,000. So that's why I'm trying to break this out so that when somebody, and I've had multiple people ask this, and that I've talked to about the financials, so I'm trying to see if we can make this a bit more clearer, because every month, if you have contracted amounts, it doesn't, when you first glance, it doesn't make sense why one month it's 30,000, next month it's 25, one month is, June is 24, So I'm trying to see if we can group these so that it doesn't fluctuate as much.
Well, because I think with 0616 being a catch-all and not broken out specifically, for instance, if there is a slide repair, it's going to go to 0616.
If it's a repair, it should go to repairs.
So if you separate them by the
So they just
repair,
separate
if we keep
the
the other
repair.
item on maintenance for the contract item, break them down by part, the monthly fee should be very, depending on how they charge every month, because you do it every year, once a year, I don't know how you pay out to those contracts. Once a month or once a quarter, but the amount should be very constant, not as much change.
Right.
Because your repair should be on a separate line item, not incorporated into your contract line item.
Because if the trash can cleaning was part of the contract, it would just be part of the maintenance. It wouldn't be its own subcategory in this category, if that makes sense. So that's kind of why I'm trying to group these so that, yes, trash can cleaning is contracted, but is it part of the landscape contract? And if it is, then why is it being,
Why does it have its own line?
why does it have, so say it's Brightview, right, that we have, say they charge us $20,000 a month and it includes these things. Well, then why are all these things separated and they have a separate cost? Why wouldn't it just be Brightview 20,000 each month?
I mean, that's the easier thing to do,
Yeah, that
right?
makes more sense because
Right.
all of these are contracted amounts and it's fluctuating from month to month. And so it's like, well,
So if the
you know,
landscape
contracted.
maintenance, trash can cleaning are in the same contract, are part of the same contract, they should be one line item.
Right.
Hold on, guys. Which would be 06.
And especially if it's on the same contract.
Right, I got you. And
What is
then,
the flag, quarterly flag?
well, hold on, can I back up just for a second,
Okay,
Chu?
sure.
Promenade Park general repairs, any of the general repairs listed in here, which I think. general
There's a few of
repairs.
them.
Why do you want to be like this today? Please. Okay, here we go. Okay, so all of the maintenance items, wait. The repairs, the only repair I see is the Promenade Park general repairs. That's the only repair line item I see under park maintenance.
Right, so
So
should
that would be
work out.
broken out into, do we have a repairs and maintenance for parks?
There is
That's
one.
separate?
It is,
I just, we have 0659 for miscellaneous repairs.
well, there's 0665, which is, it says irrigation repair.
Irrigation.
And then it says general maintenance and repair. That's part of that category. So I personally think that irrigation repair should just be renamed to landscape repairs and then put every repair that's done on landscape for parks. So do a park irrigation or a park,
Park repairs and
Repairs.
maintenance and put,
well, not maintenance, but just park repairs. And then landscape repairs, and then just anything that does any repairs that go to the park, put in that. And then any repairs to the common area, put in the landscape repairs.
put in the park maintenance, you mean?
So anything for the parks that is repair, put in a category called park repairs.
Park repairs, okay. And then landscape maintenance and can cleaning stay under park maintenance.
Because if they are under same
If they're on the
contract,
same
if
contract,
they are under the
yes.
same contract, then yeah, keep them together.
If
Yeah,
there's
so
a
like-
separate contract for trash cans for each park, I would say that there should
Yes.
be, that should be
Shall
a
be
category.
separated.
And then you got the landscape repairs section, which for landscape repairs, right?
That's, yeah, so repairs for, okay, so for repairs for parks, will be broken out as park repairs.
Right. And then
And then
landscape
landscaping repairs, you want broken out.
should just be landscape repairs, because right now it just says irrigation repairs. It doesn't specify if that's for the park or landscape. There's one that says irrigation repairs later on.
So you want irrigation to be pulled out?
Well, so this is what doesn't make sense. So park maintenance is separate from landscape maintenance, but all the irrigation repairs are grouped together. So you don't know how much you've done for park irrigation repairs or landscape irrigation repairs. It's that category is grouped together. So I believe that you should have a park maintenance, park repairs.
But I still want them to
landscape
separate
repairs.
the irrigation, park irrigation and
So-
the landscape irrigation, especially now we're gonna put in $1 million irrigation replacement already. We already spent a lot of money on that.
Okay.
We should
that's a
know-
reserve
That's a
item.
reserve, right, yeah.
We,
Yeah, that comes out of a totally different account.
right, we need to, but after we repair, after we replace, we should not see much repair at all. Because we are putting a new system under, so we be able to track the amount of money we spend with this company that we contract out. That should last for a long time. We should not see much repair for all this new irrigation system we put in. That's just my take. So I think they should be separate.
I'm not opposed to that. So what you're saying is park maintenance, park general repairs, that doesn't include landscape, and then park
Correct.
irrigation repairs.
Correct?
And then landscape maintenance, landscape repair or general repairs,
Yeah.
and then landscape irrigation repairs. I agree with that.
Because irrigation, especially now we spend, I think we put in what, $1.25 million for 5-year plan?
Mhm.
So that's tons of money we put in. The last thing I want to start seeing is let irrigation repair, especially for landscape. So before we go to that, I just have a question about the flag.
And that one I was gonna have say be its
Huckleberry.
own category too.
So all of the flags at Huckleberry, Knickerbocker, and this flag actually is, provided by the management company, but we provide the flags for the parks.
And they replace every quarter?
It's just, I think it's just a guesstimate of when, if they get damaged or whatever because of the wind.
And they
a lot of
do,
times
they start to
get
shred
shattered.
very
They
quickly.
get
Really?
shattered. Yep.
Oh, 3 times, oh. I used to manage 600 post offices.
And you guys never did quarterly flag
We
replacement?
don't replace like that often. I mean, they still do, because I have to, when I go, I inspect those flags. And, I just don't believe that is, and every quarter though.
Are they replaced every quarter whether they need it or not, or just as?
No.
I think as needed, they just,
Just needed, okay. So that's just the estimated amount.
So my suggestion would be to have that be its own category.
break it out.
Yeah.
Is everybody good with that?
It's on flag replacement category. Yes, I'm agree with that.
Okay.
Okay, keep going. Okay, so I think when we went over park maintenance, park general, park irrigation, landscape maintenance, landscape general, landscape irrigation, and having all of
Yes.
those categories, that covers park maintenance,
Yes,
landscape maintenance.
I do have a question about pest control. Because pest control is in park maintenance. Is the pest control only for the parks?
You mean pest waste stations?
No, pest control.
So what's the pest control for?
Where is that?
So just like how you told us that you have bees in a
Uh-huh.
specific area, we'll call Pitbull Pest Control and they'll come out and take care of it.
Okay, then I suggest, because this is how we do it, just have its own category, because if it doesn't, if it's,
It's not solidified for one particular area,
Right.
it's a common area. then-
right,
So do we pay a monthly fee to them?
As needed.
Only as needed. So this is just estimated amount based on previous years.
Yeah, they won't just come
Okay.
out because we don't have any particular areas that need to be taken care of. at least.
Just a side note for landscape replacement, I would suggest, because all the parks in the common areas are, it's just one thing, I would suggest separating those as well. So do park replacement or park landscape replacement or some kind of wording, and then just do the common area landscape replacement. So I guess to stick with, to be consistent, do park replacement and then do landscape replacement instead of, because right now it's just all under landscape replacement.
Is everybody okay with that?
And now I'm confused.
I am too, because it's.
Okay.
It already is broken down, yeah.
Well, now there's a whole, like, this is
There's a common area
replacement of trees and plants. So this is like, this is the category after landscape maintenance. So this is to replace, dead plants and trees.
Mhm.
I would suggest, because this whole category is both the common areas and which is the landscape.
Are we talking about the trees now, or are we talking about the landscape?
Landscape replacement.
Okay.
All three parks and the common area landscape are all in one category for landscape replacement. I would suggest breaking those into two. So do the park replacement first, so all the plants and trees that are replaced in the park, and then all the plants and trees that are placed in the common area, have them separate.
But then how would you know what park got what? Because the way that it is
That-
right now.
See, that to me, if it's a park, it doesn't matter to me what park it is. I would just like to know if it's common area or if it's park. That's just my opinion, but if everybody doesn't agree with that, that's okay, but.
Internally, we need to know which one's fit, it probably doesn't need to
Right.
be. Like now, internally, obviously, someone's taken it, know that it's the three parks and landscape, but then just to make the landscape and then the parks.
Separate.
And then in case we asked, which inevitably is gonna be, well, why is it this month and what park got it?
Right.
It's gonna be asked.
And then, and then from a, just a management standpoint, then we'll have to look back and see, okay, how much did we spend at Promenade? How much did we spend at Huckleberry?
You still have to
We're still gonna have to
do
break
it
it down
Yeah.
anyway, so I would
Right.
say it would be my recommendation, which isn't worth anything, just to leave it the way that
It was
it's
a
already.
lot.
Just to leave it broken out, because I think that at some point, somebody's gonna ask this
They're
information.
gonna, it's gonna be asked.
Right now, it's all together in one category.
No, I know, but I'm
Okay,
saying.
so you
moving
want
forward,
each individual park?
Yeah, the way that it's broken out right here,
Okay.
like the expenses.
That's-
That actually,
That-
I like better, I just thought that might be.
That's why I
too
was
much.
confused.
But I
So
actually
they
like
do
that.
have it, but just on a financial report, it's under one umbrella. But if you ask for detail, they be able to break it down by employee.
Well, can we just do it as is here, put this explanation on the
On the detail
monthly
report.
financials, just take it
So-
like it's broken down here and just put it that way instead of one lump?
So so for landscape maintenance or landscape replacement, then common area landscape would be one GL.
Mhm.
And then park maintenance would be another GL with all the three parks listed underneath
Yeah.
that, so that we still have the breakout.
Right,
Correct.
or.
Yeah, that makes
in
sense.
one, and
Sure, sure.
and whichever is gonna.
That sounds good.
Okay, say that one more time, I'm sorry.
What we said.
Okay.
We're gonna break it out. We're
Okay.
gonna break it out
Yep,
for the common
we're gonna-
area and the three parks.
Okay, got it. And that's just for plant replacement.
That's what-
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Landscape.
Question on the plan replacement, especially for the common area.
Isn't it called plan?
I just think that if you look at our water consumption, and I brought this up again last year during our budget discussion. We have area that is just overgrown with so many small shrubs. I think if there's things that we want to pull out, we pull out, we don't replace. It's just too many. They are overgrown by each area, even though I know we tried. Now when we replace the irrigation system, we try to pull out some plants. I just think that we really need to be very conscious of replacement. Because if you look at all the common area, there's so many plants. I walk every street just about this whole area every month. And just look at that, and then you look at the water consumption every month. That we spend on water with all these plants, and they are just overgrown.
Yeah,
We don't want to replace them.
and a lot of the stuff is like the rosemary and stuff like that, that's all stuff that's being removed, and then, yeah, they are doing a replacement, they are putting the 1 gallon plants in, so that it does take time for them to grow to maturity,
Okay.
so you'll see that over the next 5, 10 plus years that you're here. So
Yeah.
you'll see them growing and maturing, but a lot of the stuff in those areas, we are removing and replacing them with 1 gallon.
Okay.
And
Because I just
decorative
think
rock as well.
if they are, we just don't replace them. So many plants growing so close together, and it costs us so much money every month on water.
And two, you know, in regards to what I've noticed, especially since we've done the new retrofit on Schaumburg, we had a section right by Franklin Park, especially, and even in the Heritage Garden, where somebody actually went into the valve box, turned off the valve specifically, cut the wires, and we lost all of that vegetation
What?
in that area.
Wow.
So, I mean, that they were still in the warranty, but we have that happening all the time. On the promenade, we have people going in, turning off the valves, which is why you start seeing the grass dying in the summertime, because people are letting
How are they
pets
getting
and their
in there?
dogs and stuff like that. So we've had locks on those valve boxes. People are popping them and breaking them. So I've been working with Brightview to come up with some other type of locking contraption to keep them from getting into those
That's
valve
terrible.
boxes.
Wow.
It happens more often than not.
Ugh.
I digress. Okay, let's keep on, sorry.
Unbelievable.
Nice
Pet
little tidbit,
station.
thank you.
No problem, pet station.
Wow. Okay, 3 minutes.
Yes,
How often are we putting in additional stations?
But we just recently put in either 2 or 3 at Huckleberry behind where the walking trail is, because there was no pet stations that were there, but we haven't included any new pet stations since inception.
How much does the new one cost?
We got them off of Amazon. I want to say it was like, probably $200 for each.
Okay. I don't have a problem with the amount, I'm just wondering how often are we replacing them, that we need to set this aside every month? Because we've got 1,500 set aside every month.
So right now-
Every year, sorry, every year.
Right now, we have 2 that are broken. Somebody has vandalized those, and they have not been replaced.
But that's, you've
Why
got a
did you
different line item
vandalize
for
a
damage.
pet scooper?
We have a line item for when you purchase and install damage stations, and then you have purchase and install additional stations. So how many more additional stations will we need?
That probably can be removed, because I don't believe that we need to,
2 items.
I don't think that we need that, but, okay, replacing,
I
I
the
would say
replacement one, obviously, just how many additional more are we going to go?
none. I wouldn't say that we would need any more.
Okay.
To be quite honest.
So we want to delete the
Yeah.
purchase and install delete. Additional.
Also, where are the doggy bags for the stations accounted for? And
So Brightview provides those bags. We don't pay for the bags.
People getting very
And they change them out.
lackadaisical about doing them anyway.
Huh?
They're getting very lackadaisical with their dogs in the park now anyway.
every time I'm at the dog park, I always pick up every pack of food. Yes.
Yeah, people are really getting
I'm
better.
not even from McDonald's, but I do anyway.
that's a nice resident.
So.
Because I'm the person that would step in it, not noticing, so whenever I see it, I pick it up. It's-
Right there with you. Cool, are we done with pet waste stations, ladies?
Yeah, we're deleting the additional station line.
Yeah, we're gonna delete the last, or
That's $11.
eliminate the additional.
Okay.
For 15.
So we're on office rental.
Yes.
Okay, some questions on that one. This one says the end of year CAM balance hits in February under the details. I see you guys did create a CAM, office CAM fee,
We should probably move that to that.
or actually it looks like it's always been there, it just hasn't been used. So I think that CAM fees need to go back into the office CAM fees, because the same thing again, where each,
You mean the end of the year CAM balance needs to go into office camp fees? Line item?
yeah,
Okay. What do you guys,
I would say
that's,
so.
that makes sense to me. Jude,
Yeah, fine.
Marcia?
Right.
And then this is being nitpicky, but I would actually like to have storage be its own thing.
Don't even worry about it. We're gonna be moving that stuff.
Okay.
out.
Yeah, it's going away.
Alright, so that line's gonna go away.
Yeah,
Correct.
so that's our team building event. We're moving our storage to our
Have
site.
That's the way to call it.
Thanks.
You gotta be, I know we talked about that last year, yeah, when
So
we
it
build
starts
a
next
new park.
Monday.
Okay. So that line is going.
That's why
Yeah.
it's going away.
Team building.
Thank
Okay.
maintenance.
What else with office rental?
That's all I have.
Ms. Lori?
No, never mind, I have to remember.
I do that sometimes too.
I'm not done.
Vehicle maintenance. Any issues with this, guys?
The Providence Mariner that we have on site, that we utilize for inspections, events and stuff like that.
Is that a Providence vehicle or is that a CCMC?
Like a
vehicle?
Providence.
Providence, yeah.
Okay, where does the same management contract?
Ma'am?
Sorry to be a butt,
Let
but,
me go back to my first page and just add that.
okay.
Yeah. there you go.
Moving past that to patrol service.
With everything that we've got to pay for this year, we can't afford control.
The what?
Huh?
What, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Well, with everything that we need to pay for this year, we're behind and we're trying to play catch up on a couple of things. Patrol is one of those things we just can't afford this year.
I disagree.
I disagree.
I know. But we have to talk about it because when I looked over the numbers, we're talking, not that one. We're talking over $2 million that we need to find to put in places that they belong. And also, patrol does not offer anything as far as armed security, anything that we can do that the next door neighbor can do. They're not allowed to do. It'd be a liability for them to get involved in anything violent. So really, they're just a really, really expensive security blanket for people. I know people like patrol and it makes them feel good, but at the end of the day, we're paying way too much for them, especially when most of their usefulness has been utilized for lost pets.
I will say that this is always a hot topic in communities. I've managed associations that have courtesy patrol in some aspect, and it drains the bank account fast. And they don't really do very much for the money, unfortunately. And then when you don't have the courtesy patrol, crime doesn't change. It doesn't change whether you have it or not. I personally don't like that we're spending all this money on it. I would like to get rid of it, but I also know that people like it. I would prefer, if we are going to keep it, that we renegotiate a little bit to see if we could, because $850,000 a year is
A lot.
a lot of
That
money.
is a lot of
It
money.
is a
and
lot of money.
Our accounts, our money situation right now cannot afford it. We can't afford this luxury because that's what it is. And we've got a park loan to take care of, irrigation we're trying to replace, and reserves to get back up. And those are all major things that are more important to me to take care of than patrol. And patrol is just not worth what we're paying for. And so our finances are in trouble, and we need to look at what are the big ticket items. Patrol is like number 2. And it's just not worth it to me to keep patrol when we're trying to get our finances in order.
Well, obviously, I disagree with that, but what I do think we could do or should do, it seems astronomical. 850,000 seems over the top. Maybe it's not, I don't know, because, Vegas area, I don't know. I think we should check bids.
Well, I will tell you right now that the association is currently collecting bids for courtesy patrol. So we are out to bid for that right now.
I mean, I don't think, I think if anything, I know it's not a deterrent, and I know it's a very hot item. I do. However, it's the idea, the presence that they're there. you know, if this is one of those arguments that could go on
Right.
forever and never reach a
Yeah.
conclusion.
Right.
So to do away with it, no, I will not be for that, but I definitely think, as you said, we need to go out for bids because that seems astronomical.
Well, and in addition to going out for bid, the NAC committee did work with management to come up with the RFP that was going out. So there's a couple different versions that we're trying to gain bids on. Something that is similar to what is happening now, and then the other,
Was with the recommendation, so the removal of the account manager and putting them back in patrol, and or just removing that position in its entirety. Providing the sub-associations with reporting so that they can disseminate it to their residents within that sub-association. They also requested a price for body cameras to see what that would look like and to be armed, what that would look like.
That would be so expensive.
But I also think that what we need, I agree with the amount of money, but I also disagree to eliminate them completely. Providence, it's been a top community. We just talk about it's a community. The house sold very well, and the price range is pretty good. My two neighbors down just sold their home for $661,000. So the house is sold in very good price because we are a beautiful security, safety community. I do, let me, please, I'm not done yet. We may also want to consider, instead of doing 24/7 patrol, take a look at maybe just doing a night patrol. They are still neighborhoods with car breaking into. They may not be able to do anything, but when you have presence, you are going to be able to reduce some of the crimes or vandalism out there. So maybe we could look at reduce the hours of patrol in our communities. But I agree the amount of money we need to reduce, maybe reduce by half, only patrol for 12 hours instead of 24 hours. That would be my recommendation.
I'm sorry, Chair, I didn't mean to interject. And I know the committee, because I was somewhat tasked with it and or took accountability for it, but we did get the peak time, the nature of calls, how long patrol was on the call, the outcome of that call, and we did provide that to NAC as well. So they did look at that information. I think you were on that call.
Yeah, and to be honest, it, like you just said, there's not much, they can't do anything about crime. We're paying $850,000 a year for them not to do anything about crime. It's a lot of money. There are probably different avenues we can explore other than courtesy patrol. But courtesy patrol, they can't do anything about crime. They just report. And it's $850,000 a year to report about something when I could report myself. So
If we
it's
could
just-
reduce it by a couple $100,000 or whatever,
First we did on the previous year.
it's the appearance of it being there. And going back to the Providence routine, it is the appearance, whether they're valuable or
Right.
not. It's one of these expenses that you
It's
just not gonna justify.
It is a lot of money to spend
But-
on appearance.
But I'm sorry, that's what Providence is about.
That's
That,
You picked to live here, so no, I won't back off on
I
that.
did
So-
too. I've been living here for a long time before we had all these social events and before we had the 4th of July and all that good stuff. I didn't buy based on appearance. I bought because I like the house.
I bought on Providence before I even moved to Las Vegas from the East Coast. I knew I wanted to live in Providence because my family's out here, not in Providence, but they're out here.
That's
So
okay.
I knew nothing
I'm
about
just saying,
Providence at the time, but I will
it's a
say
lot
as
of
a
money.
single person, I'm not done, as a single person at the time coming out here, whether they could have arrested, busted, I didn't give a darn what they could do. The fact was, I knew I could call them. I knew they could at least be the intermediary, a truck there, anything to maybe stave off somebody coming in, okay? Like I said, this can be discussed until the cows come home.
It could.
And like the new crazies go hug a cow, so go find a cow, hug it. But the bottom line is, I'm not gonna go for it. I bids, reduce it, do whatever, cut the hours, but
okay, so the concerns I have is that a majority of the residents think it's security. That it needs to be made abundantly clear that patrol and security are two completely separate things. So when we use those words interchangeably, it's misleading. So if we want to have the appearance, I strongly oppose that because it's wasteful of funds, but it's not the appearance of security. It's literally just appearance. That's it. None of our patrol people are armed. They're not legally allowed to care for anything or do anything. And it's incredibly silly to me that if all they can do is report, that's something I can do. The other concern I have is that their contract just renewed, which means if we did decide to cancel them and go with someone else or reduce their price or what have you, we're on the hook for something. And so I'm curious to find out who signed that renewal, who thought that would be okay for an automatic renewal, how come that wasn't discussed before they renewed?
What
If it,
renewal?
if it was
The contract
renewed,
with Patrol.
They haven't renewed their
I was gonna
contract. since
say,
I've been
It
here.
renewed
It was a
automatically on
3-year contract,
October
and that was up this last week.
Oh, I got what you're saying. Well, that's why we're out to bid. So
Huh? What?
that's why we're out to bid.
see, we
So it
wouldn't be
has
out
not
to,
been renewed?
It automatically.
Like,
It's in the contract as an automatic renewal, but the
So-
cancellation stays the same.
So that's what concerns me, is that we could have, if we wanted to go with a different company, we're still on the hook for paying fees if we wanted to cancel them and go somewhere else, which could almost ultimately wash the whole point of going with someone else.
then don't
Because we're
go for
gonna pay
bid. If
someone else.
that's the case, then there's not a cancellation fee, then you're absolutely correct. It's
It
for
won't save
naught.
us, it won't save us anything. So
But-
if we go, I have no idea what bid would be, but if we go with, because the cancellation, as I understand it, because Larry explained it to me at one point, if we wanted to cancel, it's gonna cost us $200,000. It's $850,000, and to cancel, we have to eat 200,000.
We need to check that, because if that's the case, don't go for bids, you're wasting time.
I know, and then if we go someone else, then it's gonna cost us $500,000, we only save $100,000. You
There's
see what
a
I
lot
mean?
of ifs
So
there. Okay,
I'm a little upset that our contract renewed before we got to have this discussion and before the board got to discuss, hey, this is something that is really important. It's eating a huge chunk of our budget. Our budget's in serious trouble, but let's keep paying for it because we want the appearance of it. So that's dangerous to me as someone that's trying to be responsible with finances, that we need to keep up appearances before we pay for things that are crippling our budget.
But that's
That's incredibly irresponsible to me. So I know we're gonna talk until the cows come home,
Yeah.
but I'm going to say what I want to say about it because it's incredibly irresponsible as someone who's trying to oversee finances. And ultimately, it's gonna come back to the board to make that decision to keep up appearances. That's ridiculous to me. And we've got over $2 million that we need to find in the budget to go to places like the reserves, the irrigation, and the park. But I'm being told that we can't, because I like the appearance of having somebody sit out front.
That's well said.
It's incredibly irresponsible. So in my opinion, patrol should be gone. It should be completely cut whatsoever, and we shouldn't have them back. I'd also like to note that earlier in February, I had presented the board with a balanced budget with all these savings that we could do. I got nowhere in that finance meeting when I had savings proposed. And I asked for a compromise of, can we please cut patrol until our finances balance, and then we can bring patrol back. I don't care for them to come back, but they could have come back. That was the compromise I was trying to find, and I was shot down over and over again. If we had done that in February, our ship would be righted up about now. And now it's too late to even go back, and now we're even more in the hole because the board's trying to play catch up with our finances. And so if I want to get rid of patrol, which isn't gonna go anywhere, I understand that, because I'm strongly opposed. But if we wanted to cut patrol, we would have to go without them for even longer. I can't even offer the compromise on my end of, can we cut them until this year and for this year? We are so much in the hole at $150 being wasted that we need to go for at least 2 years without patrol. Like that's the concern I have, because that's how much money we are in the hole for. And when I say we, I mean the entire community is on the hook for it. And it's irresponsible to me to maintain patrol for appearances when there are more important things we need to take care
I think that other than appearances, you took my word and you're expanding on it.
of.
I think that, if I could rewrite it, I'd take it back, because you picked that word out and it's really not. It is the comfort of knowing you're there. Right or wrong, it does not matter. Again, it's
Right.
personal opinions. Chalk the appearance comment and just put it that it's the
Thank you.
comfort of knowing
Thank you.
that they're there, that I can call them. No, they don't have guns. Thank God they don't have guns. I don't want my neighbor coming out with a gun. I don't want my husband coming out with his gun. Okay? I don't like them, but we got, it's not neither here nor there. It's knowing that that little white truck that drives around, that I see quite a bit, because we have a park close to us, that at least we can call that little white truck and he'll come back. And he can be the intermediator there till the officers arrive.
For what though? Are you talking about a violent incident? You and our neighbor?
I'm talking about any type of an incident, someone breaking into cars, someone doing the vandalizing on someone else's wall, on anything.
We have an example just recently that vandalism hit our entire community.
Yes, it did.
The patrol didn't deter them.
Neither did Sky Canyons.
So
No
why are
one
we
did.
paying them? What are we paying for? If you're saying it deters crime and it's something.
No, I'm saying it could
Something is
deter.
something as silly as vandalism, we have a very recent example of they didn't deter that. And then we also have an example of them being irresponsible for fireworks. They literally blew up their own truck.
Well,
They
I will
literally
not agree with
lit their
that
own
either.
truck on
All right, hey guys, 7 o'clock already.
No.
No,
No.
I get to talk. It's-
No, you know what? Because
I know.
it's 7 o'clock, we are gonna talk about this item, we're gonna talk about forever. We are not gonna come to a conclusion. And it's already 7 o'clock, we still got item we need to discuss.
I know. and I'd
So
like to finish
we are
my
done,
conversation.
we are done discuss about the patrol. We have 2 votes disagree, we have 2 votes agreed. So guess what? We're gonna move on to the next item. So you guys are going out on contract, correct? For the security,
Yes,
oh, courtesy patrol.
yes.
And cancellation fee.
And the
what we can
cancellation
do
fee,
to
we
get
need to
out.
know that. We agree that we need to modify. I agree that we need to modify.
Absolutely.
So we move on to the next item.
The board should be discussing that,
Exactly.
at least at
Yes.
the board meeting, and they shouldn't be approving anything until we have all of the information.
Okay, let's move on. We all agree on that.
It is
Crossing
huge,
our budget.
so
That's what we
yes.
talked about. We already agree, so let's move on to the next item.
Katie Office camp fees, that was what we broke out, and then we decided to put the end of year CAM balance in that same line item. Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Yep.
Moving on to repairs and maintenance detail.
Building maintenance, I'm okay with having Providence Center, in the same with Providence. What buildings, there's bathrooms, correct? At Nickelbrook Park and Huckleberry Park and,
Yeah, just Knickerbocker. I don't know, or do we have restrooms at the Palmer?
No.
okay, I would like to separate those out between the park buildings and Providence Center buildings, but I'm okay with it being together. If anybody else has a,
I don't know. It's,
They're
I
not
don't
big
need
enough.
to them together.
The dollar amounts aren't that, they're not make, I don't care, doesn't matter.
Moving on to storm maintenance.
What's the difference between tree maintenance and tree replacements due to storm damage?
storms,
Wouldn't that be?
like wind damage and stuff, they topple trees over. So
I literally-
Maintenance,
Yeah.
though?
And all those rocks.
No,
out
that's
there,
separate, yeah.
so that need
A
to-
couple of- I think it was like a couple of years ago, there
Wasn't
was
the
a really
median
bad,
destroyed?
rainstorm, and it took out
Yeah.
everything
Yes.
on, Elkhorn and Durrell.
But that's not under tree maintenance, that's a separate. That's
No, it's
all
the
I wanted.
storm
That's
maintenance.
not just
That's what
completely
it's
the tree, that's got to replace.
Right.
Well, that's what, yeah, it's under storm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dennis.
No, that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
like, yeah, that's the difference between storm and just random tree replacement.
Okay,
Fences, walls, graffiti removal is on here, but recently, when it was being put in miscellaneous repairs, I actually would suggest putting it in its own category, because graffiti does happen a lot in associations. But it fits in fences and walls, because most graffiti is on fences and walls, but
Is everybody okay to break out graffiti?
Yeah.
okay, they are start doing it in the back of the, where they're gonna build a new home.
That was gonna be my
I just
question.
saw that this morning.
Yes.
I walked behind the Providence, behind Providence Plaza. That's when they start writing on the wall now.
No,
We'll
Oh,
probably
no.
see it behind Franklin
But
Park,
that won't
not
be
Fuller
us.
Road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, well, don't we have to, I thought it, from Larry, I understood that, and one of my questions on this was gonna be, have we included that when that goes in, we have to differentiate
what's there, what's
Providence
there.
versus them.
Uh-huh.
Now, will that be in this year's budget? And is it in here or
No,
are we
I
looking
went
for
to the
the
meeting, we only, and we need
2022?
to make sure you were not in the meetings. I was there when they first started with Olympia.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Management,
So we have 5 feet,
5 foot setback.
5 feet of our, they have a right to have it, but they will pay for all the maintenance.
Okay.
That was the question I asked.
Okay,
So they're gonna put
Landscape.
bike trail, and they're gonna put
The landscape.
regular trail, and they're gonna put landscape.
Oh, wow.
So it's gonna be from Twenty Town until the rail.
Correct.
all right.
So we already agreed in that meeting, we will not pay for any of those maintenance, even though we give them 5 feet of, what do they call it, common area. So we need to make sure that we will not pay for any of those, it will not be any of our budget.
What about
That will
the
be part of
signage?
that new 1,700 homes, whatever the association that they call.
Is that North Brownstone?
No, that's.
No,
what
That's the one that
built,
they, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
it's. we
What
know
No,
about-
that we
behind
are-
Franklin Park, behind Franklin Park.
Correct,
where the
back in
Beal
it.
and
Yeah,
Garden is.
that's what I'm talking about,
Uh-huh.
but I thought we had to designate, or Larry had said, we have to put, how we have the nice Providence signs on all the different, when you're coming into it. We have to do that there too, right? And will they pay for those?
I don't think they will pay for that.
So
Okay.
But we will not pay for
$170.
any of the maintenance, like even
Okay.
with the 5 feet, they're gonna put a lot of shrubs or trees.
Okay,
We will not be maintaining any of those, because that was my concern about adding
Yes.
additional
That was
expenses
mine.
for Providence. So
okay,
I asked that question at the meeting and they said no.
okay, good, thanks, I was
So
wondering
now
about
they
that.
already started construction, so I don't know when they're gonna finish that.
Okay, so for fencing and the wall, we're gonna break out graffiti, going on to irrigation repair.
That's separate from the 5-phase repair.
Correct, yeah. 5-phase repair is coming out of, reserves.
But then this goes back to Katie's, when we talked about the landscape maintenance, breaking all those out specifically.
So we're on miscellaneous repairs? Which one am
Just a general. not-
We skipped over signage. Did you have anything for signage, guys? Katie,
I? Not for signage, no.
miscellaneous repairs?
If you can title it, it's not miscellaneous. So there's brick paver repairs and then there's miscellaneous repairs. I would suggest breaking out the brick paver repairs. But that's me being really nitpicky.
I have a question. So the book paper, is that for, what's that, Heritage?
Well, that was kind of my question too.
I think that's for Heritage Garden.
What's Heritage?
And that's not even like a
It's
repair,
last
thing, it's like an
one.
installation.
Yeah, it's across from the promenade. It's where, we have some plants that, so like if homeowners want to know what thrives well in this climate, we can tell them, go to the Heritage Garden. We have, plantscapes that are out there. And then they can go out there and fix it. People can, purchase bricks, and we actually have those bricks, installed, so they have like a piece of Providence. So homeowners pay for that, and that's also, I think that was in the, did we run that in the post this year?
We have not yet,
Okay.
no.
So, yeah.
Interesting. I was just making that its own thing, but that's me being very nitpicky. Because to me, if you can name it, it's not miscellaneous. That's just me being very nitpicky on that one.
Katie does financials. For a living.
I'm sorry, we went over signage and I.
Did you have some stuff?
I'm sorry.
That's
The
all right.
icon zero banners, do we have to continue those? That seems just
Yes,
strange extra. Why?
because the community really loves it.
Okay.
We get a lot of response and it's really,
And to the point to where we even thought about extending down Hualapai and on Elkhorn, because we have so many submissions that were coming in.
Okay. And I don't know what window cleaning community information.
so,
Those things are-
yeah, like previously for like meetings and stuff, they would put like bubble, like window clings. I have not done that since I've been managing. I don't think they're necessary.
Actually, I do have a question about the hometown heroes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember getting the document in regard to hometown heroes. It said that you can nominate, the person who lives in the community or their family members.
Right.
So that implies that they don't live in the community. I would say take that off, because if they're not a member of Providence, the whole point is to have people, members of Providence be up there, correct? Am I wrong on that?
I don't know, I think it's, like, for instance, I worked with a gal, at the last, community that I, managed, and she lives in Providence, she's a Providence homeowner, and she was telling me about the Hometown Hero banners before I ever got here. And she was, honestly, she was almost in tears, like, it was for her son.
Uh-huh.
He doesn't live at home, he's in the military, so he's overseas,
Okay.
and so it was pretty cool to her that she was able to have her son displayed, even though he doesn't live in her home. He did previously. He's
Okay.
just now serving our country.
My dad's retired military, so I'm not
Sure,
opposed
sure.
to that. I'm just checking. 'cause-
I got you.
What, I don't have military in my family. What is the, when you ask for who is on it, qualification for it? Just that they're veterans, that they served or have served, or
It can be
serving or
first
have served?
responders, it can be military, just
Okay.
any.
I mean, that's really cool. I
branch,
just.
Yeah, just trying to understand.
What it is that you're doing. Okay.
You know, we don't spend that much money on it. It's a good thing to do. It's recognize our hero. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's-
But I also agree with the window things. Why just take out the $400?
The window things, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
You guys all good with that?
$400. I'm not going to discuss even about the home hero. That's such a great thing to do.
Okay, so remove the window planes, got it.
Thank you.
So that was signage, we're done with miscellaneous, right?
Yeah.
And then, so electrical supplies?
Well, miscellaneous, you were breaking out the pavers and then, is that what it was?
Well, that's what Katie wanted. Did you guys agree with that? Do you want to do that?
I don't care either way.
You don't care, you don't care, so I'll take that as
It's
a
a
yes.
suggestion, yeah.
We could
I-
break it down.
But
Graffiti.
I personally don't have any questions on utilities.
I don't either.
Because
It's
utilities are
pretty
utilities.
straightforward. It's what we use, right?
So then if everybody's okay, we can pass utilities and move into tax detail.
Can we just not pay the taxes?
Oh, boy. Let's see how responsible you are.
Let's see, property tax.
Let me use that one.
I like how we go over it like we had a choice in it, that's all. Okay.
Insurance detail. Okay, so I will say on this, you guys, I'm checking with the insurance broker right now. I believe that these numbers do include the Huckleberry Park expansion. 98% sure, but I just want to 100%, so I am following up with them. If I need to add anything to that line item because of it, I will definitely let you guys know.
The only thing I have with insurance is auto insurance, again, where does it say in the management contract that we have to provide a vehicle? And if so, where does it say we have to provide the auto insurance? But that's my only
For which one?
auto insurance. It's
Under, is it
I don't know.
after,
Okay, that's not my fault, that's the printer's fault.
is that?
Is it, you guys good if I add auto insurance to the list of add to the contract stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, everybody good with insurance besides that?
Mhm.
Okay, moving past other expenses, so, this is the contingency as well as, the Huckleberry Park loan.
No problem with that, because if it's GAAP recommended, you need to stay with it.
0890, other expenses detail.
It's on the new version that was emailed today.
I must not have that then.
Oh, that was the line item, to make sure that it wasn't on the first one.
It wasn't on, it didn't, no, well, a lot of things carry over, and that was one of those things that, it was like that, and one other thing that got lost in the carryover, so yeah, I had to go back and add that.
Well, the only suggestion I would make to this is, I really want to get rid of that loan. So if there is enough savings found in what we discussed today, I would suggest we reallocate that to the loan and get that paid off as quick as possible. We're not on the hook for it.
So, so the board, at the end of the year, always considers their surplus and whether they want to transfer that to the reserves to, beef up the reserves.
Not the reserve.
No, I know. I'm saying, what I'm alluding to is that this committee would like to recommend that the board take any excess, funds at the end of the year and put them toward the park loan instead.
Oh.
Is that what you're
I
suggesting?
would like that because the loan makes me nervous. In my opinion, we never should have taken out the loan in the first place. So if we haven't, we've been drawing against it. It's $558,000, right? That's the number that has been floating around. Is that what we're?
So the email, yeah, well, it's interesting because I had emailed CIT, and the email that I received back today was that the principal amount is $565,648.96.
That's what we've used so far.
That's all that that's all we're drawing. That's
65?
so 565,
Okay.
648.96. And the interest rate on that will be 4.15%.
Oh my gosh, we've got to get rid of that, you guys.
That starts in January
That's fine.
Of 2021?
of 2021.
Oh my holy, I want to get rid of that loan. It's gonna cost us in the long run. Any savings that we found tonight, especially if it goes to the, management, the management contract or things that we decided, let's get rid of that here and there, it'll all start adding up. I would recommend that all of that be dumped towards the loan and get rid of this loan.
Those savings per this budget won't reflect until next year when we're actually in that budget. But what I'm talking about is the excess from 2020. So at the end of this year, we'll take the excess from this year and the board will have the option to either put that in the reserve study. They can put it towards the loan if they
That
so
hasn't
wish.
been accounted for in this budget that we're looking at right now.
What hasn't been?
What other excess we have in that now? We
So
don't
any
have,
excess savings from the end of this year
yeah,
is not gonna be in next year's budget. This is the budget of next year, so what they're saying is that the board can decide any excess savings that they have left over for this year, they can either put in reserves or they can pay it towards the loan.
where did they get the money to put the deposit, the monthly deposit for reserves? Because they upped that significantly. So where is that? Did they use
So,
that excess money?
Well, so we upped the reserve transfers a little bit for 2021 because that's what the new reserve study calls for. But all the reserve transfers for 2020 are done. The board made a decision in their, I want to say their July meeting to
Yeah.
take the reserve transfers for the rest of the year and just go ahead and lump it into the reserve account all at once. So that's been done.
But they have to come up with that money somewhere. So to start 2021 and start making that monthly deposit to the reserves, how did they determine that they could do that?
Based off of.
Based off of their reserve study.
The reserve study did that?
The reserve study determines how much money they need to put in that account every month.
That's what they determined. So who decided how much that we could do that? Who decided that, is it 46, 45?
So the,
50,000?
yeah, the reserve specialists, when they're looking at everything, they look at the association's financials and their financial state. So they consider all of that when they're making
Okay, and they say that you should be depositing this much. And the board comes back and says, well, we're spending all this money on social events and meetings, so we can't have that money. So I'm wondering, where did that $45,000 come from? Because I think before they were only doing $18,000.
Well, the cost savings
Where
from,
did the more money come from? How did
the
they
cost
determine the
savings
more
from,
money?
the cost savings from
Social
staff,
events.
the cost savings from not having the full staff, the cost savings from not doing the events. You guys had cost savings from us not doing business as usual, so you
Okay,
have to, we have those.
Is that
I'm
what
just
you
trying to keep up because you just said they know their total excess at the end of this year, like you don't know.
Well, we don't know it yet, but we will by the end of the year.
And you've already decided that would be going towards reserves.
No, I'm just saying it's an option for the board to do that.
Either
Based on the
reserves
financial
or-
report, on a monthly report, okay, you budget for, I'm using an example, you budget for $100,000. But we haven't done any social event. We're supposed to have 9 people, we only have 7 people. I'm just using that as an example.
Yes, yes.
So those savings all come up. So instead of you spend $100,000, you actually pay out $80,000. So now you have a surplus of 20,000. So since we already know we are very sure on reserve, in that $18,000, we already allocated for the remainder of the month, knowing we're not gonna have all these expenses. So for July, August, until the end of the year, we're gonna move the money from that $20,000 into the reserve account. Because we didn't spend the July event, which is big expenses for us.
Right.
So a lot of those money is the surplus, so the board decided that we do have all this additional money that we save, we're gonna move that into the reserve. So it's gonna show up total,
Either the reserve or the
all
loan.
to the money to the loan. So now we wanna decide, do we wanna take portion of that money instead of put them into the reserve? But based on the reserve study, we need to up that money, but we also have a responsibility or decision to recommend to the board to say, hey, instead of put all that money into the reserve, do we want to consider pay off the loan earlier, some of the amount?
So it's either or.
Correct.
Yes.
Because as I look at this, it's already been determined that money is going into the reserves every month.
Every month it will, yes. I'm talking about excess money.
This is
So this is money over and above what the
that we say,
association has in expenses. Savings.
It's all me, this is all me.
Do you have, Katie, do you have a better way to explain it? Maybe I'm
So
not.
basically, you're asking us as a committee to just make a suggestion if what the board should do with the surplus.
No, I'm not. She's wanting to make a
She's the one
suggestion.
who's-
For 2021,
Mhm.
we just found excess money, right? If the board approves things. So
Okay.
We don't know what that is yet because the board needs to go over it in more detail
Right.
and total up. the things
So
we
what
have.
I think what I was,
2021.
yeah, for 2021, we won't see like the cost savings that we're seeing right now in 2020. This is for money that we were supposed to spend in 2020, but never did
And we just
because
put in
of,
headers of 2021, because we're template into the new year.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the first part.
We're just using like the template from this last year, 2020, for
Yes.
2021.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Just
I,
change
well,
the
I'm
numbers.
sorry, I'm sorry.
No, it's
the money
okay.
was
I'm
already
sorry. I feel like I'm bad for not
allocated,
explaining
and so
it.
I said, oh, well, we found, I don't know how much we found, $80,000, then can we just take what we just found for 2021
No.
and
Right,
only make
because
it
that saving,
$200
those cost
profit?
savings aren't there yet,
Right.
right? They're coming in
They can't be
2021.
moved. They
The
can't be
actual
moved.
They
haven't
can't,
hit
they
yet.
can't. We could add based on our recommendations, some of the things that we found, we definitely can make recommendation to take those savings, reduce, because we already reduced some item out of the budget for
Right.
2021 to pay off some of the loans.
Right.
Because that's what we, in addition to what we already gonna put into reserve, we found additional money, we should be able to recommend to the board to put that money to the loan.
That doesn't take away from what we've already set aside for the reserves going into.
No,
That's
correct.
exactly
That's
right.
right.
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
Connect those dots, baby. Connect those
There you
dots. Perfect.
All right.
There we go.
Oh, wait, go, too long. So I'm gonna get going here, because I'm leaving tomorrow morning for a trip.
Yes, so we're good with contingency and loan repayment, correct?
Correct. So, okay, Long Haven, do we wanna make recommendations for the reserve that we put away this year, the surplus?
That, you
to
guys
pay
certainly
to the
can.
loan?
Yes.
If we,
I think
if we
we
found
should.
extra, then yes,
Yes.
that's what I wanted to do. Whatever extra we just found, I want that to go towards the loan.
That's-
So no, it's
No,
not
that's
gonna be
what-
the extra we just found, it's
No.
gonna be whatever the excess at the end of this year.
Excess.
The actual this year.
Yes,
Yeah.
not 2021.
So recommend-
2020's
Actual.
surplus
Exactly.
that board already decided to move to reserve.
Be used.
We are recommending to put that money toward to loan.
Park loan. Yes.
Yes.
We gotta get that loan down and out.
And then the 2021, as we're going along, and
Yeah, I would say
actual
like
is
it-
going with the proposed,
Right,
and we're starting to realize that money, then there you
There's
go,
maybe
again, there we're
Like,
starting
like
to
a 6-month
Yeah.
time period or something
Exactly.
like that. Like, hey,
accumulate
we
it and move it.
save this much money. Our recommendation during this meeting is that we move that surplus now to the loan to get it,
Exactly.
to get it lowered.
Yeah,
okay.
yep.
And then moving on to reserve expense detail, so this is the expenses per the reserve study.
Shall we? Right, okay, for the payment.
Where's the wrought iron? Just out of curiosity. I actually didn't know we had wrought iron.
Where's Rhode Island in
Around
the community? Is it?
Yeah,
Is it?
if you look outside, there's
Oh,
right there.
got it.
Yeah,
Wait, okay.
so
As soon as you said it, I was like, wait a minute.
behind Weston, there's a whole, like, on Mary McBride, there's a whole line of, wrought iron, right next to Franklin Park where the
Yeah.
Heritage Garden is, there's wrought iron there. And it's R4L, that's your color.
What's the color?
R4L.
Did she even ask that 1,000
I
times?
have.
Our court.
Sorry.
So that's what we paint them. How often do we paint them?
Just on an as-needed basis. The issue with that though is, and I know this just because I used to be the director of operations, is we have a lot of homeowners that have decided to grow vines and stuff that are on it. So to have to paint it, we're gonna have to get in contact with each owner, have them remove it, and this, that, and the third.
It's such a situation.
Yeah.
I can make an argument that they should be responsible for paying.
You're absolutely right.
You're not wrong, though.
You're absolutely
You're not
right.
wrong.
You're
Right,
so
it
right.
should be.
They should be responsible.
And then the concrete detail, okay.
So any questions on the expense detail for the reserve study, guys, or for the reserves?
No.
I don't know what flight equipment is. I don't really have any questions, I just don't know what it is.
It's the office equipment.
So computers,
Laptops, printers, desktop printers, things like that. And then next we go into the benefited neighborhoods detail reports. So those are just the income and expenses for Oxford and Easton.
A quick question, irrigation replacement, just here to my heart.
For which one?
Irrigation.
Irrigation replacement,
I know, for Providence, Easton, or Oxford.
No,
Well,
for
I-
reserve.
Or Providence.
or into the reserve.
Mhm.
So we're going to put $275,000 into it. That's, how much do we already put in?
how much did we already put in?
Yeah,
353, is
I
it?
have this written down.
so we still got
Top
another,
page of yours.
do we still got another 2 more years or 3 more years?
So the board is looking at, the remaining phases at this board meeting, so realistically, they can excel it based off of the bids that they get
Okay,
back, they can
okay.
still do the three, it's totally up to them what they decide to do.
Right.
But I know it's 300, what is it? 353 and 876.
So 332,478 is what we've spent so far. The estimated amount left for the entire project is $867,522.
Whoa.
So this irrigation repair is something completely different than that project.
I'm sorry,
Is this irrigation replacement completely different than that project?
no, this is the same project.
This is the same project, but this is just for this year. This is what's budgeted for this year.
Okay.
I will say though, that the board is looking to excel the irrigation project a little bit. So we went out to bid for it and they'll be opening those
Well,
bids.
so with the water consumption, I mean, you look at the water it's $47,000 a month.
Yeah, but you said it's 800 something thousand to replace the rest of it?
Wow.
We really need, I'm just,
That's
I'm
what's
looking
left,
at water fee, it just,
867?
So the water expense may be.
867,522.
Well,
So
it'll balance it later. The only reason why it's.
because we found the additional 4.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the additional, but then around the trees, they added more emitters because last they had, I think, like 2 emitters on the tree, and as they grow, it's gonna require more water until it matures to substantiate and be on its own. So, they added 4 emitters instead of the 2, so you're having a lot more water consumption for the younger plants and the younger trees and stuff of that nature. So yes, it'll balance out as they start getting older. And 2, we just got out of a hot season as well. So you guys got the comparison, that the finance committee required or requested.
Yeah, but we should already, if we only replace $332,000 of irrigation, we should see some, because the leakage was the one cost us so much money last year. We should start seeing some cost savings.
You're seeing cost savings in those areas, but you still have other areas that are not compensating for those savings. So it's kind of, it's off. I mean, you're seeing, like I said, you're seeing it in one area where we did have the irrigation retrofit, but in the other areas, you're still seeing catastrophic failure throughout the association, which is why the board is wanting us to get bids and try to sell it so that they can see those cost savings.
Can you check again? Because I thought they told me the last time they said the most leakage is our Eagle class.
That's the
The whole
one that,
area.
well, the
Because I-
catastrophic failure that we were having was right at this corner, even Crescent Durrell, and that was the one.
That's
that
the
they-
one.
That's
Because
the
I
one we
report
just
out,
fixed.
yes.
That's the one we just
Major,
fixed,
major.
but we're still having, down Eden Crest, we're having issues. Down Elkhorn, we're still having issues. On Hualapai, we're still having issues. So those are areas that still need to be addressed.
And I thought they were gonna accelerate to move Eagle class to earlier because we got so much leakage in Eagle class.
So they accelerated that median,
That's
but
not,
yeah,
okay.
exactly,
How
but
long?
still
Because
from,
when I walked yesterday,
yeah.
they still got a small rock, so I know they didn't do it.
Still from
Yeah.
Brighton Village up to
Yeah.
Schaumburg, that still needs to be taken care of. We only took care of this median in that corner,
Okay,
right across from Highgate.
gotcha.
When you had sent us the comparison that you had asked for, I was looking at, it actually looks pretty good from what has been repaired already versus just
What we
before it
got
was.
before,
I
yeah.
can see the savings
Where it's
happening already
happening, yeah.
significantly.
That's why I wanna say, we need to start getting, because the water fee just like, every month when I look at it, it just kills.
The reason, I'm sorry.
That's it,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
the reason we're having to do the phases, even though we want to accelerate it, the reason we're doing it in phases is because we don't have the money up front, correct?
Yeah.
That's probably why, just for beneficiary purposes, it's just to, so that we're not strangling all at one time and paying that 1.2 million to
Right.
get it done.
Well, I will also say like a lot of companies, landscape companies, they can't do a project of that size all at once. Usually
No,
they
but
would
they
say,
do it a
we
lot
need to
quicker
take this in
if you-
chunks.
They will do it in phases, but the board decides how,
What that phase
What that
looks like,
phasing
how
looks
fast.
yeah, like how much they're gonna spend per phase, and usually like they'll divide it in areas, but I've honestly never seen one that's taken 5 years to do.
It's because we don't have the money.
I think
to
it's
do it.
probably because there's no money to pay for it. Was it true that that was not put in the original reserve study?
I cannot confirm or deny
I
that.
don't think
I don't
so.
know.
I think it's what, it was 11 years old,
13.
13 years old.
Is that the one that came directly from the developer?
Yeah, it was like, it was, I don't think that was in this, reserve study.
Well, and then the reserve study had a recommended amount to be deposited, and the board chose not to do that, and then we ran into the irrigation. So this is the kind of thing where if we had the money up front, we'd be able to solve those serious leakage problems a lot quicker. But this is one of the things I want to address as this is an issue. And we got to find more money somewhere to solve our problems quicker because we're wasting water, we're wasting our money, and that's a nice even round number that we cleared up. We can take it care of it in one go.
Right.
Okay.
Easton Place, Oxford Commons?
How come they don't have it on board again? Or if-
They're called benefited neighborhoods, so they just operate under the master.
They don't have to pick their own. HOA.
They just choose not to do that?
Their governing documents don't require it.
Yeah.
I don't really have any questions about that. I'm just
That's
because
okay.
I don't know anything about anything in this, so I don't know how to ask questions.
They
about
don't
it.
have anything in there either. They just have a pocket park.
I don't know much about benefited communities, but we make decisions for the financials. Like it's, when it's a benefited community, they have separate financials. It's not just, because are we responsible for all of that?
Yeah, so,
So-
but their financials are included in our financial packet. So as you're moving along through the operating statement and stuff, they
Right.
have their own
Right.
sections.
I've kind of always wondered if we're responsible for them, why it's not. If they don't have their own boards and their benefit committees, it's odd, like, I don't know enough about them to ask too many questions, but I've always wondered why they have to have their own separate financials. And then why it's not also just commingled with all of ours, because if we have to take responsibility for that,
Sure.
why would it be separate?
So,
So I don't know enough to know.
yeah, no, that makes
Everything
sense.
kind of,
So like, for instance, with Oxford Commons, they have gates, they have entry gates. Easton Place does not have that.
do they?
No.
Yeah, Easton Place does not have that. So gates are actually, as you probably know, a really expensive maintenance
Yes.
item. And so if you guys all not living in Oxford Commons are having to pay for the gate maintenance of a community that you don't live in, you're kind of gonna go as a homeowner, you know, why am I having to pay for their stuff? So keeping it separate, it's just, they have their own assessments, they pay assessments separate from the master, additional. Sort of like a sub-association would if, and like just pretend they have a separate management company or a separate board. They would have to pay assessments as a sub-association. They still do that, but it just all happens under the same umbrella of the master.
So do they pay sub-association and master association?
That's right.
Just like you?
You bet.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they have their own reserve studies and everything.
They just, I guess, master HOA.
It's interesting,
just-
right?
Have its own sub.
They just, you just like also their sub, HOA management company, that's it.
Right.
So theoretically, could they go get their own management company, or it has to fall under?
It has to fall under the master. That's what the governing documents are. Yeah. Interesting stuff, huh?
Yeah, I'm kind of like, why not just have a regular sub? It would probably make it a lot easier.
Gotta love those developers.
It's so funny because a lot of our, even the sub-association management companies have wanted to be a part of like the benefited communities, because they're like, it just makes sense. But then others are like, well, no, we lose our control as like entity and not be able to provide feedback. So.
I'm sure there's benefits and.
One thing I haven't done for this evening, how much, I'm curious to how much on the, what Lori was talking about, how much have we managed to save or
So,
what, you know, like the
Yeah,
lead
I plan
money?
on totally nerding out tonight and tomorrow, and I can do all of that.
Okay, I didn't,
Yeah.
on the way
I
down.
cannot wait to go home and
Yeah.
figure out what we
I mean,
did.
based on the cost savings so
Yeah, I'm
far,
really curious.
my guesstimate is around $300,000, $200,000, $300,000 for the year in cost savings for everything that we've, between staffing and lifestyle that, you know, never happened because of COVID and whatnot.
Still maybe more if we can get some more information on the security people and all that kind of stuff. But right now, I'm just really, because I'm really curious about that.
Me too.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys.
Thank you. We're gonna turn that back on to lockout, right? For-
Yes, we do.
Let me have her kill the live stream.
This pen is dead.
Is it dead?
Good thing about
Does
it.
the board adopt this on Thursday, or will they put
They
it out to?
They'll be adopted.
With our recommendations.
Okay.
So
Don't
they
they have
agreed.
to ask all those questions to clarify before they adopt something? They don't.
So they'll be presented with the version that I presented you guys with, and then they'll be presented with your guys' version as well with all the recommended changes. And so it'll just be up to them, you know, and they can intertwine those two. They can say, oh, we want to keep, you know, management's version for this, but gosh, we really love the recommendation from finance committee on this item, so we're going to pull that over. And so they're, you know, they could intermix it. They could completely adopt one over the other. It's up
And
to
then
them.
that gets all cleaned up, and then it gets mailed to homeowners.
That's right.
That's
right.
So they could blow us
The
off
budget that needs to be
totally,
ratified.
or they would dare.
Mhm.
So do I have time to use the restroom?
Of course, yeah.
No, Katie, absolutely
I can
not.
hold it till I get home, but I.
Keep your legs crossed, Katie.
I can't. I can tell you that right now. I gotta go.
Thank you,
Thank
Thank you too. Have a good trip.
Have a good trip, Chu.
Thank you.
My computer died just in time.
Thank you, ladies, everybody.
Thank you.